Nottingham conceded that the role asymptomatic transmission plays in the total number of new infections remains unclear, but symptomatic people are responsible for most of the new infections of COVID-19.
Ever wonder where we find all the news to report right here on the Liberty Beat? Visit snls.news to get the world's most censored media published all in one place. Save yourself from the endless time spent searching for reliable alternative media. SNLS News makes it quick and easy. No ads, no clickbait, just raw headlines, 24 hours a day. Visit snls.news and get informed today without the corporate media spin.
Your news now continues. Last week, a West Virginia law imposing strict reporting requirements for all asset forfeitures in the state went into effect. Enactment of the bill takes the first step that could lead to substantial reforms, including closing a federal loophole that allows police to bypass strict state asset forfeiture laws. Activist Post reports a bipartisan coalition of 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat introduced the House bill in February. The new law requires law enforcement agencies to report extensive details about asset forfeitures in the state, including the type and value of property seized and whether someone was charged with a crime when the property was forfeited. It also requires reporting on federal equitable sharing. Under the law, the information will be compiled on a publicly available website. After police in Seattle, Washington retreated from the Capitol Hill neighborhood, protesters took over the abandoned regime precinct and erected barricades to mark an autonomous zone for several blocks around it. 6 blocks of downtown Seattle have been declared the Free Capitol Hill Zone, or Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, according to area activists that have taken control of Seattle PD's East Precinct on 12th Avenue and East Pine Street. The Free Thought Project reports journalist Julio Rosas tweeted photos from the zone, including flyers demanding that Seattle PD be defunded and declaring that police will, quote, always be racist because capitalism requires inequality, end quote. Police Chief Carmen Best confirmed that her department evacuated the precinct on Monday evening as an exercise in trust and de-escalation. 2 days earlier, Seattle PD used flashbangs and pepper spray to push back demonstrators at 11th Avenue and Pine Street, just a block away, after they had moved a security barricade and allegedly threw objects at officers.
Support for the Liberty Beat is brought to you by the Homestead Guru. The Homestead Guru is an educational website offering tips, tools, news, stories, and commentary on everything homesteading. Topics include green homes, gardening, animal husbandry, do-it-yourself, home remedies, alternative energy, survivalism, unschooling, and more. Those details are found online at thehomestead.guru. This is the Liberty Beat, powered by the SNLS Network at snlsnetwork.com. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
After visiting his girlfriend of 2 years at her workplace to deliver an unexpected threat for Valentine's Day, violent and controlling boyfriend Matthew Strachan spoke to The Onion about remaining a devoted and committed abuser.
On a special day like today, I like doing something extra malicious for Mallory, just so she knows that I've been thinking about hurting her. I mean, you should have seen the look on her face when I came and surprised her at work today. It was so great. I mean, she had no idea I was going to come to her office to belittle and frighten her. I mean, I wanted to do it in front of her friends to really humiliate her.
Strachan added that while he doesn't always get a chance to inflict harm on Mallory, he tries his best each and every day to create an environment of sustained physical and emotional abuse to leave her feeling completely alienated and powerless.
Just wait till she sees what I have in store for her tonight. I love Valentine's Day.
For more on this story, check this week's Onion Review.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. You can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Here in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
So, Mark, have you heard anything about what's going on over in Seattle?
The autonomous zone where the anarchists have taken over?
Yeah, I've heard about it for the first time last night.
Well, if my experience in New Hampshire has anything to do with it, I suspect polyamory.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're into, but it's not a bad guess, I would presume. Are they doing it in the mayor's office, however? It appears they have stormed City Hall. This was as of yesterday, I believe, demanding the mayor resign after driving police out of the area and declaring an autonomous zone. And that's why I do like to see the protesters storming the buildings that deserve to be stormed. They should be leaving alone the private businesses, whether they be corporate or locally owned, because the Minneapolis protesters have been targeting a bunch of different places. Now, I understand the rioters aren't the same things as protesters, so I should say the rioters have targeted a bunch of private property. Many of the protesters are peaceful and not damaging other people's property. But it doesn't make me shed a tear if these guys are going to kick the police out of the police station and take it over, or the same thing in this case to City Hall in Seattle.
If they take over the police station, are they then responsible for the remodel? Because here's my prediction.
Yeah, I heard they're remodeling it in Seattle to a homeless center.
Yeah. How long do you think it'll stay that way?
I don't know.
Do you think the police won't get another station?
Well, right now the police have been removed from the area, so I'm sure the police are probably going to do their best to take back their territory, would be my guess. They'll probably take it back with maximum violence. But
they don't need to take it back with maximum violence. These people will figure out, oh, we got this building, and now what do we do? And they'll just leave it with poop in the hallways, right? And then the taxpayers of the great city of Seattle will then remodel it for the police, and the police who've probably been complaining about this building having mold for the last decade, because that's what public employees do, get themselves a brand new spanking building, all thanks to the protesters who were supposedly against the police. It's almost as if they're in cahoots.
Well, that's an interesting conspiracy theory,
Conspiracy theory? That's the truth. It's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, but you were suggesting they were in cahoots.
Yeah, they're in cahoots. These protesters want more government.
Well, I don't know.
And they're going to get more government. Now, will they get exactly the form of government they want? No, because they live in a fantasy world about what the government could be like. This is how statists are. Statists believe that the government is going to function the way that they imagine it's going to function. But when you create an unaccountable, bureaucratic organization and that's contains a monopoly on privilege, expect things to go poorly.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to try to speak for all of the people who might be involved in this, Mark, because
I wouldn't speak for all of them.
Spoken to them, you probably don't know.
Many of them that I hear interviewed use terms like democratic. So I don't need to hear from all of them. I only need to hear from most of them, or some of them, or the leaders of them. And the things that I have heard from them up to this point have been incoherent on a philosophical level. I mean, I get the whole I don't want to get shot thing. That's fair. Who wants to get shot? But beyond that, it's like solutions that, we want to see community policing or things like this. And okay, let's see some proposals on what we're going to have. But I'm not seeing much. I will critique on the other side is people have been asking for reforms from law enforcement for a long time. Sure. And they keep getting told, nuh-uh, over and over again. So, when you don't listen to your constituency, expect problems.
Right. Yeah, I guess, you're probably not wrong in what you're saying, that these people who have taken over the Capitol Hill, they're calling the CHAZ, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, you're probably right that many of these folks do believe in big government. They probably do. But at the very least, they probably agree with us on police accountability.
They probably call government community.
Maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't spoken with them personally. I don't want to jump out on a limb and say I know what they stand for, because I don't. I haven't seen. They do have a list of demands, so we could probably get into that.
Let's go get into the demands. I want to hear it.
But I want to talk about what actually has transpired here, and there are a ton of potential news sources here. We're going to start with Seattle protesters storm City Hall and demand the mayor resign. From Fox News, hundreds of protesters, aided by a sympathetic city council member, stormed Seattle City Hall Tuesday night to demand the mayor's resignation just days after seizing a 6-block downtown zone that includes a shuttered police precinct. Okay, so the police precinct was already closed. Okay.
Brave warriors, these.
Demonstrators remained peaceful without reports of violence or injuries, but are pushing Mayor Jenny Durkin to step down if she refuses to defund the city's police department. Protesters continue to camp out in the self-declared Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, a region spanning 6 blocks and encompassing the precinct, which has effectively been abandoned by law enforcement after Seattle Police Department closed it on Monday. Okay, so actually they just closed it. So they closed it because of presumably the pressure from the demonstrators. So it wasn't like it was closed for weeks. For more than 2 weeks following the death of George Floyd, hundreds of demonstrators have taken to the streets, as we know. Sunday night, a protester in Capitol Hill was shot and wounded, and in another incident, a man drove his car through a throng of protesters and opened fire when a demonstrator approached his car window, according to the police. So, according to various different sources here, we got Como News reporting that it is now in its third day, the Chaz movement, Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, demonstrations remaining peaceful. Wednesday's protests featured people playing music and dancing, and once again a movie was played on a projector at nighttime, all while keeping a message of police reform in mind. Mariah Marshall said, quote, "We have a voice out here. We have a presence." She's been coming to the site for a week. Now, I heard from my roommate here today. He works for a company. We're in Keene, New Hampshire. We're not in Seattle, but the company he works for is based in Seattle, and their headquarters is apparently located in the autonomous zone, or the woman that he knows house might be. Sorry, it might be her house that's located there. Anyway, somebody he knows from work is in the midst of this, and according to what she said to him today, she said that everything's peaceful. It's just like, business is as normal. People are going to work. People are doing their thing. It's just there's no cops around. Essentially. So that was nice to hear.
I suppose. I mean, the thing is I'm not taking a stance on this. I believe that I want to see this come out in the wash. I'm of the opinion that very likely I am on neither team. So why should I root for one?
Oh, I'm in favor of definitely upsetting the status quo. So I'm absolutely rooting for the autonomous zone.
The status quo
here
is how people make a living. Right? Like, when you have a...
well, I'm sorry. You're making a living off of a situation.
No, I'm not talking about the police. I'm talking about what they, like a stable government. So you can't...
According to the lady that my roommate knows, everything's fine.
Yeah, but it's not stable, right?
Everybody's going to work. Everything's fine.
Is advertising being sold? Because I can tell you advertising's hit the tank.
Well, that doesn't have to do with the autonomous zone.
I understand.
Has to do with the COVID
I don't care
crackdown.
About the autonomous zone, Ian. I'm talking about the nation.
We're talking about the autonomous zone.
The autonomous zone is a pimple, one of the little chicken pox of a whole disease that is taking over the nation.
And what's that?
Whatever this protest is. Whatever,
You're saying the
whatever
protest
it is.
A disease? You're likening it to a disease?
Yeah, sure.
So you're suggesting that the status quo is better than having people doing
If people could
protests?
make a living during the status quo, then yes. If people are going to have a difficult time finding food and medical care during whatever the change is, then it's bad.
Have you seen that happening because of the protests?
I don't know if it's because of the protests. The protesters are
because of the
COVID knockdown.
Why are you blaming the protesters?
It's all together.
There's more coming up.
If you're attacked by a bear, a dog will throw himself into the mouth of the bear to save you. Dogs are dogs. They pour out their love onto you. Before long, you can't live without them. I have a chocolate cocker spaniel named Lady and a blackmouth cur. He's about 120 pounds, and his name is Arlo. My little cocker, her coat's as soft as a stuffed animal. They're both real soft coats, and my dogs don't have any health problems because they're eating what they need to eat.
DINOVITE.com.
Dynavite is like pouring a multivitamin right onto their food.
The omega-3 fatty acids, flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa, the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
We'll be scooping our Dynavite onto the food, then squirting the liquid chops and the fish oil. They start salivating.
Dynavite is nutrition.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
It's a lot of responsibility owning a dog. I get my Dynavite at DINOVITE.com.
The next generation wallet is coming from Divvy. In just a few taps, you'll be able to send, earn, spend, and exchange digital money in seconds. Send money around the globe with only a swipe. Instantly exchange between Divvy, Bitcoin, and fiat right in the mobile app and withdraw directly to your bank account. Divvy already offers the first one-tap solution for earning passive income with crypto. Multi-tiered masternodes allow everyone to partake in the network. Visit DivvyProject.org. DivvyProject.org.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, you dial in here toll free. If you want to weigh in on what's going on in Seattle, is this an important situation? I say yes. Mark's just sort of dismissing it as though it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
The protesters who have taken over 6 blocks of one of the cities, or one of the America's largest cities.
Is it the police precinct, or is it 6 blocks?
From what I understand, 6 blocks. The autonomous zone, which we can tell you more about coming up here, includes the city hall and includes police department as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they have city hall. Do they have the city hall building?
Yes, sir. They took it over.
Well, I'd like to hear about that. So they closed down the city hall building and then the protesters took it over, or they took it by force?
From what I understand,
because they had said on this police precinct that the cops closed it down and left.
That's correct.
And then the protesters took it over.
That's right. That's what the police did with the police precinct. You're correct about that.
So I'm curious what happened to the city hall too.
According to the story we read earlier, it was an insider at the city hall, somebody on the city council who was supporting the protesters.
Just popped open the door.
Apparently let him in.
Right, hoping to take over the mayor's position.
I don't know what they were hoping for, but maybe they didn't get what they were expecting. I don't know, but apparently they have taken over the Capitol, what they're calling the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. We'll tell you more about that coming up here in a moment. And what's going to happen in Vegas? Well, we're expecting to be there in July for 2 conferences that are happening the same weekend. One of them is Anarcho Vegas. The other one is Crypto Vegas. It's a couple of events basically organized by the same folks, but with 2 different kind of focuses. And there's going to be a bunch of great speakers, and in the physical location. This isn't some sort of Zoom thing. Like these people are coming to this conference, from what I understand. Juan Galtz, Anastasia Sergeyevna, Lynn Ulbricht, Jim Bell, Float CEO Kingsley Edwards, and more. They're going to be speaking at Crypto Vegas. And then at Anarcho Vegas, you get to see Jim Bell, Larkin Rose, Ovens O'Brien, G. Edward Griffin, Walter Block, Amanda Rockwitz, Ernie Hancock, and others. You can go to anarchovegas.com and cryptovegasconference.com to register for the events. They're each $20.20. And you can use code FTL to save 10% off of VIP tickets July 18th and 19th. You can join Free Talk Live broadcasting from Vegas at Crypto Vegas and Anarcho Vegas 2020. Again, their websites anarchovegas.com and cryptovegasconference.com. According to Como News, which is a big station, TV and radio station out there in Seattle, protesters spent a second night into a third day occupying several blocks around Capitol Hill in what's become as the CHAZ, Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. Again, there were a lot of people playing music and dancing, movie played on a projector at night. Tensions remain on how to handle the situation and what comes next, with Seattle police worried that by abandoning their East Precinct in an effort to de-escalate the conflict, it's left the city with reduced police service. But it seems like people in the 6-block zone are just fine without
What are the protesters going to do if the liquor companies don't make deliveries?
Well, I haven't heard that that's happening, Mark. From what I understand, everything is as normal within the autonomous zone.
It sounds like there's parties in the streets.
Yeah, it just sounds like they need some more liquor. That sounds like what people should be doing. You know, if you've just gotten the police, the occupying force that has the monopoly on violence over a particular landmass, which you've pointed out before.
Sure.
If you've just gotten them to give up their East Precinct building and leave your zone, you've had a major success. You should be partying in the streets. If nobody got shot in that process, that's definitely worth throwing a party about.
In World War II, it was basically a conflict between Stalin and Hitler. Who was the good guy?
None of them.
Oh. So the party that the Russian soldiers had in Berlin, where they raped a whole bunch of German women, was bad and wrong.
No doubt. I don't think anyone's accusing anyone here of rape, though. So it's not really fair to draw that comparison.
We'll see.
Okay.
You know, parties that go on into the night, having hundreds or thousands of people, liquor-fueled parties. It could happen.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I haven't heard anything about anybody getting their buildings burnt down or anything like that, Mark. So again, a report. I mean, you're sitting out here in Keene, New Hampshire. You don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, there's no protesters coming through my town. That's for sure.
You don't really know what's going on out there.
I don't. All I'm doing is getting reports.
Right.
And I have some general idea.
I gave you a report from somebody who actually lives in the autonomous zone.
I've been to Seattle, so
not in the last week.
Nope. And when I was there in the area, I said, "Take me to your anarchist communes," as a joke, because I knew these things existed. More likely Portland, but whatever. So I'm curious about this. I'm curious to see how it goes, but I think they'll all just slink back into the darkness in a few days.
Okay, well, I guess we'll see about that. But for right now, they've taken the ground, and I may not agree with all their politics, but the idea that, Mark, that you can't see the value in what's happening here, that's too bad. If you think that the status quo is something worth keeping up.
I don't see the value.
It's not a good thing to see people standing up against the police state like this. This is an incredible victory.
Ian,
it doesn't matter if they don't have the same politics.
It does matter.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
That is a ridiculous notion that gets people assassinated in the night. You're a moron if you believe that crap.
Why is that?
Because, look...
So what you're saying is you won't work with people you have a disagreement with?
If somebody wants more government than the status quo, I do not wish them well.
Okay, but what if that person wants less government on the current issue?
What is the issue?
Let's say the war on drugs, the police state.
I think that's fine. It's and if you see some results from a political standpoint, then that would be great. I don't know that this taking of 6 square blocks in Seattle is going to make a difference in that area.
Well, it's made a difference so far. The police aren't there. That's a difference, isn't it?
A lot
of us would welcome a situation like
that.
The
police left their precinct.
Yeah, they abandoned their territory.
And it will be rebuilt in opulence for them.
Maybe it will. I don't know about
that. Believe their union.
They haven't burned it
their
down.
union is going to work with these commies that took over this little segment, and they'll be like, oh yeah, the police have to have a nice place to work.
You think the police are going to be friendly to the people that took them out of their building?
I think that
I mean, you're just delusional.
They'll be welcomed back with palm fronds.
You're saying the protesters are going to welcome the police back?
Absolutely.
I don't think you know who you're talking about.
The people at the top of the government will say, hey, we're making this change, this change, and this change. The protesters will have figured out after the course of a few days that holding a piece of ground doesn't make any sense, that there's no profit in it. And that they will then be like, okay, time to make a deal. And they'll make the deal. And then the police will be welcomed back.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to go like that. And I guess we'll see over time how it does transpire. But I think you're kind of disconnected from what's going on.
I think you're disconnected when you think that the enemy of your friend is your the enemy of your enemy is your friend.
That's just politics,
That's
man.
just no. It's
you got to
not.
work with who you can work with.
Not in this case.
I fully support what these people are doing out there. I don't necessarily agree with their politics, but if they've managed to disengage the tick from the back of its victim, in this case they've removed the police physically from an area. I mean, that is an almost unprecedented victory, with the exception of Minneapolis, where they literally set the place on fire. I have not heard that happening here as a result of this, so I don't know if they're going to have to rebuild the police department. But anyway,
I'm sure that these guys are cleaning the bathrooms right now.
Toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Trump has weighed in, suggesting that he may send in the military to take back Seattle. So we'll see what happens, although the mayor is objecting to that and calling Trump's threats illegal. So it's a very interesting situation. Mark sounds almost like he's on the police's side, which is sad. 855-450-FREE, but your true colors are coming out, huh, Mark? More coming up.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you get the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at anypayinc.com. anypayinc.com.
This COVID-19 thing has turned the world upside down. Regardless of what you believe about it, it has changed our lives. But what's not changed is that if you own a business, you need to advertise to reach new customers or clients. Our audience is not the kind to stick their heads in the sand during a crisis. They are fully engaged and more active than ever. Special advertising packages are available to you to help you not just recover, but thrive. Email my sales manager, Matthew at freetalklive.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Live video of our Keene, New Hampshire-based shows is streamed on DLive. Please follow and share at dlive.lrn.fm. That's dlive.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. The toll-free number is 855. Oh,
what is that noise?
Hello? Oh, sorry about that. 855-450-FREE. That was my bad. 855
Professional broadcaster, ladies and gentlemen.
450-3733. That was our Discord caller, and we're going to get to him. Sounds like he's there, so we'll get to that coming up here. It's Ian and Mark in the studio tonight, and of course you can bring up absolutely anything that you want. Also want to make sure you know about Divvy. It's the next generation wallet coming from Divvy, and it's coming at some point. In a few taps, you'll be able to spend, earn, store, and exchange digital money in seconds. Divvy says you'll be able to send money around the globe in only a swipe and instantly exchange between Divvy, Bitcoin, and fiat currencies right in the mobile app. Fiat's like the dollar, for instance. And you'll be able to withdraw directly to your bank account. There's no need to wait, though, as Divvy already offers the first one-tap solution for earning passive income with their multi-tiered masternodes, allowing anyone to earn by supporting the Divvy network. When the new Divvy wallet launches, because of Divvy's relationship with Western Union, Divvy will be in 200 countries, including the United States. You can learn more at divvyproject.org. That's DIVI project.org.
We saw a huge spike in the value of Divvy in the last few days, right?
I saw it, and I showed it to you. But well, yeah,
that's how we saw it. Thank you for keeping an eye on it.
Actually, I wasn't keeping an eye directly on it. I saw it in a newsletter that I get. You know, those like one of those crypto newsletters. I get it from CoinGecko. And they've got like the biggest gainers, you know, like the top 5 gainers of the day. Divvy was in there 2 days in a row, and I'm like, something's going on. So I pulled up, the old market cap apps and looked at Divvy, and let's see if it's still where it was yesterday.
It's not like I didn't tell you, folks.
Yeah, if you had Divvy, like within the last month, you're way up.
Right, like 5 times the value.
Yeah, like almost 5 times the value. Let's call it 4 times.
4.5.
The value.
Compromise?
So, yeah.
You don't like compromises, do you?
Now, of course, nothing lasts forever. Maybe it'll go down from there, but you never know. Maybe it's on a big rise. Who knows what the future holds for Divvy, but they've got some cool stuff they're working on. So go check them out. Learn more about it. DivvyProject.org. Let's go to Steve. He's in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Steve, you're on Free Talk Live listening to KFPW.
Hey, guys. How are y'all today?
Welcome, sir. You're on the air.
All right. So about everything going on in Seattle, I haven't seen a whole lot of news coverage about it, but just from what I gather, it's just a bunch of hippies. I don't think they took over the police. The police just left and said, y'all can have fun for a little while. We'll be back. I don't see this. I agree with Mark.
Right. I think if there's a conspiracy here, I think it's the police got together and said, "Hey, we'd like a new station, wouldn't we?" Like, that's the conspiracy I see.
And I think that's entirely possible. But, I listen to you guys every night on the way home. Of course, there's different hosts and different folks on. I've called a few times just with questions about libertarianism. I'm a Southern boy. I'm a conservative. When I hear, I also yell at the radio a lot because I'm like, what the hell are y'all thinking?
I'm that kind of lunatic. I yell at the radio, too.
It's like since I can't watch football or baseball, I got to yell at something, right?
Yeah, right. I hear you. Soon.
So this disdain that most of your people on your show have for the police, it kind of blows me away. I agree that there are bad cops out there, but I'm a firm believer that 70% of the population are pretty good folks, and about 20% of them are just a-holes. All right, 20 to 25%, and then 5% of people are just evil. And you can pretty much break that down plus or minus a few percentage points in any direction in any job. I mean,
but the difference is with the police, they can use violence against you. So if there's a roofer
they can, but so can I.
Right, but you can't use violence without punishment, right? Like, so if you use violence on enough people, somebody's going to shoot you, and then
I understand that. But I am a 6'2", 290-pound Lebanese dude.
Okay, so they'll shoot you twice. If you use
cops?
No, I'm not talking about the cops. You said you can use violence on people, and you can use violence on people. But sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. So I am. I don't look like a white dude, but I'm not a black guy.
Yeah.
So, I've been pulled over, and I hand the officer my license and my concealed carry permit. He sees that I don't have a record, and there's never a problem.
Oh, that's nice.
I've never had an issue with the police. I have many friends. A good friend of mine is the chief of police here, and they try to, help the homeless people. They try to. And maybe not every city's like that. I'm just telling you my experience.
Yeah, I mean, in some cities, they make the homeless life a living hell, as we were discussing
usually
last night.
That has to do with the city councilors or whatever. It's not like cops are just
it has to do with the police, because the police do the bidding of these counselors. They do the bidding of the state
Agreed.
The state
They
bureaucracy.
are the tip of the spear, right?
And they could use discretion and say, no, that's okay. We've got other things to do. We've got murders to go after.
If they
We've got
choose to
rapists.
use discretion, that also points to the problem. So here's what my problem is. It's not that the police exist. By no means. We need security forces in order to keep our lives stable and profitable and all those things. My problem is that, police departments don't work inside the marketplace, so they can't be flexible as to how much security they provide in this area and that kind of thing. What we see is that, next to schools, police departments are the biggest, greediest eaters of funds. And they'll figure out all kinds of different ways to consume those funds. In many cases,
and you'll pay.
If a town just hired a security force like Whack-A Hut or any variety of these things, they would. You wouldn't see the problems of sovereign immunity and qualified immunity. You wouldn't see the problems that surround the pensions and the costs and all this stuff. Look, I say this as a firefighter and a guy who pays attention to budgets. Is that it's not that I dislike these guys. I just would like their funding to be more voluntary.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, you said that we don't like the police or whatever. I find many of them to be likable. I've met most of them here in Keene, New Hampshire, and I'm on a first name basis with a bunch of them. So, they are human beings, but as our really in-depth story that we had last night, which was written by a former cop who calls himself a former bastard cop, we got into it. We basically spent the entire show on this article last night because it was really.
I listened to most of that.
Yeah, I mean, so what he points out is that even if there are good guys in the police department, they're disincentivized from doing the right thing and turning in the bad ones and reporting the bad ones when they do bad things and hurt peaceful people, which he witnessed numerous times in his experience there, and he himself did actually engage in. So I mean, you got people who are cops, who will tell you that the corruption rises through the ranks, that there's, that the good cops, if they exist, are too afraid of the bad cops to actually do anything about it. And so then you've got a situation
I think it's like that in pretty much any workforce, though. I mean,
here's the difference.
I work for...
The difference
let him tell his story.
But he brought this up before, and I didn't have a chance to respond. If it's a roofer who's attacking another roofer or, causes an issue with a customer or something like that, the customer can say, I'm not paying you for this job. You killed my dog, or whatever it was that the roofer did.
Right.
You can go to court in that particular instance. If the roofer starts to attack you, you can defend yourself against the roofer. You can shoot the roofer dead if necessary. If you were under threat, your life was under threat, and the average person, the jury, looking at that is likely going to say this was a justified use of defensive force. But if you do the same thing against the police, you're dead. You're just not going to survive it. They know they can get away with murder. They know they can get away with rape. They know they can get away with stealing things. So it's not fair to say the police are the same as any other business, because they're not.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but what I'm talking about is the business side of it. And look, I agree with accountability. I think that what happened to George Floyd was obvious to everyone who saw it, unless you're just a flat-out racist, that the cop was in the wrong. I don't think that anybody disagrees with that. I mean, I don't even understand who they're arguing with, because anybody that saw that video knows the guy was wrong.
No doubt.
So I have no problem with him being punished to the full extent of the law. Now, I think what you get into when you have a corporate structure, and it doesn't matter the business, whenever you have newer people coming in and they may see things that maybe they know are wrong or they disagree with, but they don't want to say anything because they don't want their job to be in jeopardy.
Hold that thought,
I got
Steve.
a question. Yeah.
If you can hang on, I would love to continue this conversation, so do stand by. 855-450 free. Mark, make a note of your question so we don't space on that. And your calls and thoughts are welcome as well. It's Free Talk Live.
Houseflies defecate every 4 to 5 minutes, spreading diseases and germs. Protect your food and your health with Bug Assault, a miniaturized shotgun which utilizes ordinary table salt as ammunition. Non-toxic, no batteries required, only $39.95. Use discount code GCN and get an extra 10% off your purchase at bugassault.com. Fire your fly swatter. Get your Bug Assault today.
This is a Corona Crisis Self-Reliance Alert. If you're worried about the power grid in the current crisis and want to generate your own supply of off-the-grid electrical power, just in case, pay close attention. Here's why. A limited supply of solar backup generators will be available again in the next 2 weeks. These emergency backup systems provide life-saving electrical backup power when you get off the grid. And unlike gas generators, these solar generators run quietly, emit no fumes, and produce an endless supply of free electricity from the sun. Dangerous weather, social unrest, or overloaded grids this summer will not be a problem if you go to mysolarbackup.com and get your solar backup generator. We regret that supplies are limited and only available on a first-come, first-served basis. Check availability at mysolarbackup.com. Never suffer painful power outages again. Go to mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com.
Do the letters IRS give you anxiety? I'm Dan Pilla. I've defended people from the IRS for more than 40 years. My book, How to Get Tax Amnesty, created the tax resolution industry and is responsible for helping hundreds of thousands of people. It can help you too. If you're a non-filer or facing IRS enforcement right now, your case is unique. You need real help, not cookie-cutter advice. My clients get my personal attention. Buy my book at danpilla.com and get a free consultation directly with me. That's danpilla.com. Let's start solving your tax problem right now.
A new study released this week based on extensive psychological profiling of some of the world's most notorious serial murderers found that their homicidal instincts can be traced to a single incident in childhood when they were denied a toy that they really wanted.
Nearly all violent serial offenders, from John Wayne Gacy and Jeffrey Dahmer to the DC snipers, exhibited their first violent impulses shortly after being told as children that a video game was too expensive, or that they had a perfectly good Lego set at home and they could make do with that.
Researchers found that an isolated occurrence in which a parent refuses to buy a stuffed animal or candy bar for their child can immediately trigger the development of sociopathic tendencies.
I was in such a blind rage that I went up to my room, sawed the heads off all my action figures, and ejaculated into their body cavities.
This was most notably the case with Jeffrey Dahmer, who began decapitating stray dogs and placing their heads on spikes shortly after being denied an Etch-a-Sketch.
This is the Onion News Network.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. Dial toll-free. Bring up what you want. You want to weigh in on the Seattle Autonomous Zone, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, the CHAZ, as it's being called now, entering into day 3 of protesters taking over 6 blocks of the city that apparently includes City Hall, as well as what they call the East Police Precinct, which was abandoned by the police earlier this week. Ian and Mark in the studio with you tonight. Also want to say thanks to, I don't think I can say this name on the air. It's spelled Noblsht. So you pronounce that however you want, but thank you to Noblsht for contributing to the AMP program. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote, and he or she is doing $5 per month, which is the silver level AMP, and that helps us get on new radio stations and bring new internet listeners on board and expose new people to the ideas of freedom. So if that is worth $5 a month to you, you can do it with PayPal, with credit card or debit card, and then also Bitcoin BTC if you prefer at amp.freetalklive.com. You get some cool benefits and perks as a result of you joining the AMP program. And that includes things like the AMP call-in line room and supporters chats on our Discord server. Go to ampamp.freetalklive.com. As we go back to Fort Smith, Arkansas, KPFW listener Steve is on the line, tuned into the FM side of that great station down there. So, Steve, Mark had another question for you. Mark, can you recap or spit that out?
Yeah. So you made the unassailable position that the Chauvin, the cop that killed Floyd, anybody who looks at that can see that that's obviously unacceptable police behavior. I've got I'm curious about so they've charged every other cop that was standing around too. Yeah. And there were 2 noob cops there with less than a year's experience from what the information that we can find. And at least one of them said something to the effect of, "Hey, I think you should get off of him."
Did they?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I'm just curious. I'm really seriously curious. Does this mean that, was this a step taken in order to, to me, this may, put him in a position where he can make a pretty good argument that, hey, I tried.
Well, that's not trying that hard. But
he didn't shoot the guy.
Is that a question? Go ahead, Steve.
He could, I don't know what his seniority is. I don't know but obviously he was. If that happened, I haven't heard that report, but I don't see as many reports as you guys do.
You have a real job.
Yeah, I'm trying to sell cars all day.
Thank you.
So if that actually happened, then I just think it shows his humanity a little
bit,
and B, it maybe shows how scared he was to step out of line and maybe to a senior officer and be like, "Hey, you don't need to be doing this." But, and look, what you said earlier about cops are different because they have the ability to use force, you're completely right. And I'm not saying that you're wrong about that. My point was that it's, it could be construed that way in any job. Whether when you're in the position where you have to point out to someone who's in charge of both of you that someone who's been here much longer than you is doing something they should not be doing.
That makes it difficult.
That's a very difficult position to be in. I've been in that position. It's not fun.
And it doesn't usually go well.
No doubt about it. But in any other job, it usually doesn't involve someone having the life choked out of them. You know, whatever it is that the supervisor's doing that he's not supposed to be doing, it probably isn't going to result in a dead body on your hands.
Yes. You're exactly right.
But this comes back to what I was saying about the corruption rising through the ranks, and these other guys who might otherwise want to do something about a thing are so scared.
Here's what I think happens. These guys start to see that, you know, well, maybe we all are a little above the law, and then they get braver. And, you know, that's just human nature. Whatever position you're in.
If you're above the law, it certainly will attract those people. That's the thing.
Well, it's the same with how many of you guys have children?
I got one.
Okay. How old is this
He's
child?
12.
12. Okay. When they were younger, if they could get away with a little more and not get in trouble, were they going to do it?
I think that's still the case.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And it's going to. I've got one that just turned 18 on Saturday, and one that'll be 17 in September. And you have to say, no, these are the rules. This is what you're going to do. If you go outside of that, there's going to be consequences.
Tell them they can be charged as adults now.
Yeah, if only. Here's the thing, Steve.
I told my son, I was like, you're 18 now. Come at me.
Yeah. Look, Steve, if only we could do what you're talking about with the police. We don't have any way of telling the police there are going to be consequences if you are stepping out of line, okay? Because if we did, then that would help, right? Like if we had the ability to say, okay, Fort Smith Police Department, you guys are hurting too many peaceful people. We're just going to withhold our payments on your services because you're not doing a good job. And then they wouldn't get paid.
There are ways to do that. There are ways to do that by, you know, getting involved in city council, getting involved in local politics.
Have you tried that?
No, I haven't because I haven't found that I needed to yet.
Because it is a system that is designed to be unwieldy and almost impossible.
So is what you're saying, Ian, is that the reason that you appear to be cheering on whatever is going on here, the protests versus the police and these sorts of things, are you cheering them on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
If I were there, I'd be down there hanging out.
So you are cheering on these things, and you appear to be cheering them on. Is the reason that you you think that this is a message sent to the police and that will result in something good by the police? I mean, like
no, not at all.
It might.
I don't know what the police are going to do. I suspect they're going to come in and break some heads.
All I've been commenting on is the protesters. I don't care if they break the commies' heads. All I've been commenting on is the protesters. If the protesters win,
well, you don't know if they're commies.
There's a lot of commies.
There probably are, but you don't know. You haven't talked to them.
They're definitely commies.
Fine,
no doubt.
I am making
there.
a blanket statement based on my biases. Okay?
I said I would be there too, and I'm not a commie.
Right, and again, if you happen to be if you hang out with the commies at the wrong time, you will get your head busted too. You will not see me hanging out with the commies.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that I sure hope the commies don't win because I know what the commies want. What the commies want is people like me with their heads on pikes. Like that is the whole story out there.
You don't know, you're not there, but go ahead, keep speculating.
That's the story as it's being purported in the news out there.
Really?
You listen to
you
BLM.
Saw a story about them wanting to put heads on
BLM
pikes?
isn't just a movement; it's an organization, and it puts out information, and that information is terrifying.
You said they wanted to put heads on pikes. That's an actual story.
Not an actual heads on actual pikes.
So.
But
they did put a pig's head on a pike.
These, you know, you can imagine what would happen if some group like this did something like that in Arkansas. It wouldn't go over real well.
And that's what I'm saying about all of this, is that I believe that this is the precursor. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I think this is the precursor. Al Gore said there were two Americas, and now I believe him. All right? I think there are two Americas. I think those Americas are split. And I think the split really has to do with where you live. It's a demographic issue in so much as it's city folks against country folks.
That sounds like geographic rather than demographic.
Right.
Well, geography is part of demographic. Well, fine.
Okay.
It's geographic, demographic, the whole thing. And that there will be this, perhaps a conflict. It sounds like Some people want conflict out there. And all I'm saying is, hey, y'all, keep it in the city and everything's going to be fine.
Okay.
Bring it out to the country. You're going to have dead city folks.
Steve, go ahead. Any other thoughts?
Fort Smith, Arkansas is the second largest city in the state. All right. We only have 80,000 folks.
Mm-hmm.
It's not it's a big town.
Yeah.
But it's not Oklahoma City. It's not Little Rock.
Right.
It's not, so it's small enough to where there's still, now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of libtards running around Fort Smith, Arkansas that, and here's what kills me. They want to say, oh, well, Antifa is not an organization. It's just anyone who doesn't want fascism. Well, look, I don't know very many people, if any, that want fascism, but don't throw me in the group of Antifa because that is not who I align myself with. Yeah, I don't want fascism either. I want to be able to go to a restaurant, and if that restaurant allows smoking, go to a different one because I don't want to be at a restaurant where people are smoking. But don't make a law that says, oh, well, no restaurants can have cigarettes.
See, that's a very libertarian position that you have there, Steve.
Okay, well, and don't insult my intelligence enough to make me not get to choose where I want to go eat, where I want to spend my money.
I am completely with you on
I
that.
agree. I agree with you guys on a lot of the stuff that I hear, but the whole legalized drugs thing. I mean, are we talking all drugs?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I believe that drugs contain their own consequences. It's legal to drink bleach. It's legal to drink alcohol. Gasoline. Those things will take care of. Those problems will take care of themselves.
Yeah, look, this is a whole other conversation, Steve. We should have it another time. But thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it because this is one of the biggest changes, and we touched on this last night, that could be made within the system as it exists to really dramatically reduce the tyrannical aspect of the police, and that is to end the war on drugs, to stop enforcing victimless crimes. Hour 2 is coming up.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with the SNLS Network and listeners like you. Online at snlsnetwork.com. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,738, silver at $18.34, and Bitcoin is trading around $9,874. Today's gold, silver, and Bitcoin prices are brought to you by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven. The Liberty Beat and Brave Botanicals believe so strongly in the power of kratom, we're giving it away for free. Just go to libertybeat.news/free kratom. This is the Liberty Beat at snlsnetwork.com. In the news, conflicting reports about COVID-19 have sprung from both official and non-official sources. On Tuesday, Maria Van Kerkhove, PhD, of the World Health Organization, caused a firestorm of reactions from health experts across the globe after declaring in a press briefing that transmission of COVID-19 via asymptomatic individuals is very rare. Mid-Press News reports that less than a day later, Kerkhove was compelled to walk her statements back, clarifying that in essence, no one really knows. The harshest criticisms to the WHO's comments came mostly from the mainstream press, while the scientific community itself seemed more reserved, and in some cases, concurred. Professor Keith Neal, Emeritus Professor of the Epidemiology of Infectious Diseases at the University of Nottingham, conceded that the role asymptomatic transmission plays in the total number of new infections remains unclear, but symptomatic people are responsible for most of the new infections of COVID-19. Ever wonder where we find all the news to report right here on the Liberty Beat? Visit snls.news to get the world's most censored media published all in one place. Save yourself from the endless time spent searching for reliable alternative media. SNLS News makes it quick and easy. No ads, no clickbait, just raw headlines, 24 hours a day. Visit snls.news and get informed today without the corporate media spin. Your news now continues. Last week, a West Virginia law imposing strict reporting requirements for all asset forfeitures in the state went into effect. Enactment of the bill takes the first step that could lead to substantial reforms, including closing a federal loophole that allows police to bypass strict state asset forfeiture laws. Activist Post reports a bipartisan coalition of 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat introduced the House bill in February. The new law requires law enforcement agencies to report extensive details about asset forfeitures in the state, including the type and value of property seized and whether someone was charged with a crime when the property was forfeited. It also requires reporting on federal equitable sharing. Under the law, the information will be compiled on a publicly available website. After police in Seattle, Washington retreated from the Capitol Hill neighborhood, protesters took over the abandoned regime precinct and erected barricades to mark an autonomous zone for several blocks around it. 6 blocks of downtown Seattle have been declared the Free Capitol Hill Zone, or Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, according to area activists that have taken control of Seattle PD's East Precinct on 12th Avenue and East Pine Street. The Free Thought Project reports journalist Julio Rosas tweeted photos from the zone, including flyers demanding that Seattle PD be defunded, and declaring that police will, quote, always be racist because capitalism requires inequality, end quote. Police Chief Carmen Best confirmed that her department evacuated the precinct on Monday evening as an exercise in trust and de-escalation. 2 days earlier, Seattle PD used flashbangs and pepper spray to push back demonstrators at 11th Avenue and Pine Street, just a block away, after they had moved a security barricade and allegedly threw objects at officers. Support for the Liberty Beat is brought to you by the Homestead Guru. The Homestead Guru is an educational website offering tips, tools, news, stories, and commentary on everything homesteading. Topics include green homes, gardening, animal husbandry, do-it-yourself, home remedies, alternative energy, survivalism, unschooling, and more. Those details are found online at thehomestead.guru. This is the Liberty Beat, powered by the SNLS Network at snlsnetwork.com. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
In what medical authorities are calling one of the worst ointment complications in White Plains Hospital's history, area girlfriend Caroline Nagler was rushed to the ER this week after suffering an extreme overdose of scented lotion. With a blood lotion level of 0.45, hospital sources confirmed that Nagler had rubbed onto her body 4 times the lethal limit of shea butter, green tea cleanses, and naturally soothing mineral therapies.
Even putting aside the sheer level of lotion Miss Nagler had on her person when she arrived at the ER, this was an especially lethal combination she was using. She was mixing scented moisturizers, age-defying serums, and even some harder stuff like jojoba and essential fruit extracts. Frankly, she's lucky to be alive.
In other news, Beijing's air solidifies. A Delta Airlines counteragent assures a man he will never see his family again. And a mannequin must think he's some pretty hot. They say if you love something, let it go. But how could we possibly leave you behind after being blessed with a relationship as unique and complex as this one? For more, keep checking theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want. Our number here for you is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We have the Discord call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
We've been talking about the new Seattle Autonomous Zone, or what they're calling the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, a 6-block large area that has been taken over by the protesters. Police have left the region, or left the zone. And apparently the zone also includes City Hall. So we'll tell you more about that on the way here tonight as we continue. We'll take also your calls and thoughts. First up, he's Gene, the Christian anarchist, on our Discord server. Go ahead, Gene.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about what I think is most people falling for a mind programming psyop using the press and social media to divide people. I got 4 bullet points to flesh this out. We don't have to talk about them all, but they're the COVID-19 nonsense, the bricks on pallets, staged car burnings, and the possibility that George Floyd died years ago. So, yeah.
Okay, I wanted to do the bricks, but now I want to talk about George Floyd.
Okay, well, there's apparently an attorney in Texas who says, let's see, Attorney at Law, Corpus Christi, Texas, Timothy D. Jeppett. Now, I haven't contacted this guy, I haven't called him or anything else, so this whole thing could be fake, it could be real. You know, the problem with all of this media, social media, and regular media is a lot of it's false, and we don't know what is. And this is why I say it's a mind-controlled, a psyop to divide the people. But anyway, this guy claims that he was over took care of his estate 3 years ago when he died. It's apparently the same guy. He played Texas for the Texas College, and he had a sister from Minnesota.
So who was murdered at the hands of the police in Minneapolis if it wasn't George Floyd?
Well, it could have been staged. It could have been somebody else. I mean, I don't know, but you know, the whole thing is
I've heard some pretty ridiculous conspiracy theories, but that's one of them.
Well, there'll always be one, and I do love the creativity that that they have. I think it's very curious. I mean, you know, best I can tell, George Floyd somebody was in that video, and people are certainly upset about something. And Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
That ranks up right up there with the conspiracy theory that the old man, the 75-year-old man that got knocked over by the police in Buffalo, was actually planning that, and he had a fake blood pack built into the back of his head or some sort of ridiculous
It exploded
claim.
like a blood pack on that video.
Ridiculous.
Now that one I don't buy, but I mean, the other 3, we got the COVID-19 nonsense, bricks on pallets, and staged car burnings that I've seen on YouTube. You know, these things definitely look like they are set up. We talked about COVID-19 before and the experience that I've seen in our clinic, and I think it's it's a real disease, but it doesn't deserve this kind of attention. We've all seen the bricks on pallets.
Have we all seen the bricks on pallets? Have you
seen the pictures.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you seen them in real life?
I've seen the videos on YouTube, but no, I haven't seen them in real life because I haven't been to any other protests. And that's another thing, is I don't see anything getting burned up or blown up around here in Memphis. I haven't seen most protests.
I'm going to call
peaceful.
BS on the bricks on pallets. I think that is, maybe it really did happen somewhere where somebody, George Soros or whoever, sent a pallet full of bricks into a protest zone. But there was photos of this that supposedly happened in Manchester, New Hampshire. There were photos going around. Somebody posted a photo from, on social media of, oh my God, there's bricks on pallets out in front of the bar called Thirsty Moose or something like that out in Manchester. And it's coinciding with the planned protest that same night. Well, the reality was the bricks had been there for weeks. They'd been there for a construction project. The government was working on, putting new bricks in on one of their little brick streets.
Government bricks!
Or whatever. And so you just have people with active imaginations who are like, oh, my God, this must be a plot by George Soros. There's bricks near a protest. I don't know.
There's a video on YouTube of a police car sitting in the middle of an intersection in Los Angeles. It's an older police car. It's not one of the nice new ones. It's one of them old Lincoln town cars or whatever. Yeah, it's obviously an old retired police car. This is not a police car that's in service. It's sitting in the middle of the intersection, right in the center. There are no cops around it. There's protesters all around it. And then these 3 people that seem to be working together, all dressed in black, go start breaking the windows out and then pouring some fluid on it and set it on fire. And then they take off afterwards. I mean, the whole thing looks like a setup.
Oh, yeah. There have been some people who've said that the police have purposefully put cruisers out and purposefully attacked their own cruisers.
Yeah, I've seen a video of police breaking their own windows out.
We've seen video of a what was believed to be an undercover cop who was dressed all in black, smashing a window of an AutoZone in the very beginning of the Minneapolis protests, and protesters who were nearby zeroed in on him and made him uncomfortable, and he got he got up in the face of one of the protesters and was wearing a gas mask so as to obscure his identity, but yet his girlfriend, former girlfriend, was able to identify him.
Identified him. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's true, but there's strong speculation, and
So now
photos where you can
proof.
compare his eyes with with this guy, whoever it was believed to have been's photos, and it seemed like a match.
So we have proof that there are people that are setting this stuff up. What we don't know is who's doing it, and I think I know exactly why they're doing it. Of course, they're trying to divide the people. They're trying to bring on race wars in the country so that we won't unify under the banner of liberty. They want us divided.
People seem pretty divided.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, Mark wouldn't even stand with the protesters in Seattle. He is actually almost sounded like he was in favor of the police coming back in there. But what do you think about what's going on in Seattle?
Well, I saw one video of the guy who supposedly is the head guy there attacking somebody who was asking questions, physically attacking him. So
this is the supposed
really
warlord?
True,
is this the supposed warlord?
The
from
warlord guy. Now, I mean, if that's true, then obviously he's certainly not a friend of liberty. So I don't know because I'm not
Should
there,
people
but
work together on this? I say that if you agree with people on something, you should work with them. It sounds like Mark's not willing to work with a commie on anything.
Well, I mean, Ian, sometimes you don't work with people. You don't want to work with anybody who's a racist. You will say, if they're a racist, I don't want to deal with them. And yet there are racist white people and there are racist black people, and all they want to be is separate from other people, and that should be part of liberty, right?
I'm not saying I wouldn't work with someone who has racist beliefs. I would prefer not to. But if we agree on an issue like, let's say, secession or something like that, I'd come and work with somebody I found to be distasteful in that way. I wouldn't like.
I just want to secede my property line from everybody else. That's what I want to secede.
Well, I'm with you on that particular desire. I think that you should be able to do that, and you should be able to reap the consequences of that. But it doesn't seem like the protesters that we're talking about here have any intention of achieving that. What they seem like they want is more groupthink, not less. And
I suspect they're very strongly socialist, and I agree with you on that one. As I don't like to deal with socialists.
I read Animal Farm. I know the playbook. It's out there.
Yeah, and
these are the pigs.
And I've been to socialist countries, and I know what's out there too. So you definitely aren't going to get me on any socialism.
Thanks for the call tonight. Appreciate hearing from you. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Yeah, generally I don't want to associate with racists, but if it came to like having to petition people to get signatures to get a ballot measure to secede from the United States, if a bunch of racists came with a bunch of petition signatures, I'm not going to turn them down. Same thing with Ron Paul. Like when the racist guy, remember when Ron Paul got a donation from like David Duke or something like that, and there was all this
a big news
hubbub
story, and
over it.
Ron Paul, denounced racism and said, "Of course I'm going to keep the money. I'm going to use it for good."
Right? Yeah. Why would you want the racist to have it? He can. Ron Paul can use it for good things. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. More from inside the autonomous zone in Seattle. If you want to weigh in, you can. It's Free Talk Live.
I have a chocolate cocker spaniel named Lady and a blackmouth cur, and it's a lot of responsibility owning a dog. My dogs don't have any health problems because they're eating what they need to eat.
DINOVITE.com.
Dinovite is like pouring a multivitamin right onto their food. We'll be scooping our Dinovite, then squirting the liquid chops and the fish oil. They start salivating.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dinovite at DINOVITE.com.
This COVID-19 thing has turned the world upside down. Regardless of what you believe about it, it has changed our lives. But what's not changed is that if you own a business, you need to advertise to reach new customers or clients. Our audience is not the kind to stick their heads in the sand during a crisis. They are fully engaged and more active than ever. Special advertising packages are available to you to help you not just recover, but thrive. Email my sales manager, Matthew at freetalklive.com.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hair, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils, plus a hint of menthol, was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live and get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Most of you know me as a talk show host, but I'm also an author, actor, single father of 4, a fitness writer, avid snowboarder, and I'm also a medical marijuana patient. Like many of the million people who are living with multiple sclerosis, I'm in pain every single day. And sometimes my nerves are so raw that if you brushed up against me in an elevator, I'd scream. I can't sleep at night from the pain, and sometimes the spasms in my legs are so intense they will wake me up throughout the night. I've tried the strongest prescription medications available, and I'm going to tell you, they do not work. In fact, they leave me in a stupor, and most of the time, it's impossible to even live your life. Now, I've tried medical marijuana, and I'm going to tell you something, it works. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at mpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. You dial in. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And Free Talk Live is brought to you by AnyPay. You ready to start accepting cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin Cash or Dash or Bitcoin SV at your point of sale at your business? Get the AnyPay Cash Register app right now from the Google or the Apple Play/App Stores. Download it. It's super easy to get set up. You just plug your cryptocurrency wallet addresses in the back end, and then you're ready to start accepting cryptocurrency at your point of sale. It is that easy. And if you've helped a company get set up and you want to get credit as the AnyPay ambassador for that, you can actually get passive income for purchases made at those businesses. Just go to anypayinc.com and let them know who you helped get set up. That's anypayinc.com. So we continue. Again, that's the AnyPay Cash Register app. Just go and download that and get started as we get into more of your calls and thoughts, and then we can continue with what's going on in Seattle in the Autonomous Zone, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, a 6-block area that has been taken over by protesters. They've kicked out the police and the city council. This particular zone, this Capitol Hill zone, includes City Hall, which is particularly interesting. But let's go first to Kirby. He's in Indianapolis listening or watching on YouTube at youtube.freetalklive.com. Go ahead, Kirby.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen.
Welcome, sir.
I am happy right now.
Oh, excellent.
Because of these protests, these demonstrations. I'm 60 years old. This is the first time since 68, 69 that I've actually seen the mainstream of American youth stand up and say enough. Most of the violence and destruction, I've been downtown in Indianapolis in these protests every weekend. The destruction is being done by outsiders. This is not the protesters. This is not organic to the protest. This is being set up. These are people being sent in to do this.
Now, who is sending them in? Do you have any idea?
That's the question.
Or is it just random teenagers from the suburbs that want to destroy some stuff?
I don't think it's random teenagers from the suburbs, because most of the people I see down there protesting are the kids from the suburbs, 18 to 30 white kids who just had enough. Now, who sent them? Anybody's guess. The police, the Koch brothers, George Soros, who knows? Now, Mark, as far as communism goes, brother, I got to tell you, they have run that drag every time black folks have tried to stand up, going back to the 20s when they tried to organize the sharecroppers. Oh, they must be communists. Even when the UAW was organizing, the communist label got shot at them. They threw the communist label at Dr. King, Marcus Garvey. It's a catch-all. It's a boogeyman, because they know if they can stick that label on you, people will avoid you.
Well, that may be so. I'm not. I think that what you're saying is likely true. So, if we can agree that the communist label is a certain level of hyperbole on my part, meaning I'm exaggerating, then I will talk about realities surrounding Martin Luther King Jr. He was a socialist, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So,
what's wrong with that? He was also a Christian. I got a problem with that, but come on.
Well, I can tell you what's wrong with socialism is if they're using the force of the state to enforce their, economic system on people, then that's what's wrong, is using violence.
Okay, so, and I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but what is the difference between a socialist who is going to do that and the so-called capitalist who's really a fascist who's going to...
There's no difference between them.
How do I say this on the radio? It's like the difference between getting raped with a condom and without a condom.
There's no difference between those people. They have a different philosophy from their perspectives, but from my perspective, it's just a bunch of authoritarians who want to tell people how to live, whether they be fascists or whether they be socialists. I don't want anything to do with either of them.
And the thing that I find offensive is that it's that somehow the not accepting of Martin Luther King Jr.'s sort of political beliefs means that I don't accept the notion that black people and white people and every other ethnicity of people and all the vagaries in between are somehow equal. Like one of those things isn't the other thing. And I want to accept one of those things and have accepted it.
Well, one of those
for
things
a very
is
long
man.
time.
One of those things is a man and his personal belief systems.
Sure.
And the other is just, treating people decently or whatever. Kirby, any other thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, just that we need to get away from labels. And I want to tell you that 1945, Ho Chi Minh wrote a letter to Harry Truman telling him, do not let the matter of communism deter you from helping me. We didn't help him, and we ended up with what? 2 more wars, all over one man's political ideology. His ideology was fine during World War II when he was helping America. But the minute the French, who are socialists, by the way, wanted their colonies back, there was an issue. We got to get away from labels, and we got to remember that just because we like it, somebody else may not.
I think that's an important
force our way.
Yep. You're absolutely right about that, Kirby, and we do need to get away from labels, which is why I was bristling at Mark earlier when he was labeling everybody in there in the autonomous zone as a communist. And it's not true. There are a bunch of people.
I bet there's a larger amount of people that would self-identify as communists within that enclave than there are in the average in the United States.
Well, I bet you're right about that. I mean, that's probably true in Seattle generally. But,
fine. In Seattle, there's a larger amount of communists per capita inside the autonomous zone than there is outside.
I think that's
Seattle.
A fair presumption to make, but I'm not going to. Thanks again, Kirby. I'm not going to write these people off as unsalvageable or inhuman or anything like that.
Oh, you don't salvage the winners of a conflict. They don't suddenly come to their senses.
You're saying they've won?
No, what I'm saying is that they may or may not win. Likely they won't.
What does winning look like?
Winning looks like ruling that spot.
For how long?
Long enough.
What's that mean? They've been there 3 days now.
Not good enough.
Okay. 30 days?
A year.
Okay. All right. So if the police stay out for a year.
They'll need a flag. They'll need cops. Well, they won't call them cops.
Well, apparently
they'll dress them differently.
They have asked for armed people to come and defend the borders of the autonomous zone.
Surprise!
Yeah. Well, I mean, not all communists are
A
against
cop
guns.
by any other name. Would it smell as sweet?
Pretty sure wasn't it Chairman Mao who said all political power grows from the barrel of a gun?
Finally, somebody talking some sense.
Yeah.
Political power grows from the barrel of a gun.
Right.
Do I care what's going on in the Seattle capital zone? I really don't.
I find it fascinating.
Oh, I find it fascinating, but I'm not rooting for an either side.
I'm going to root for anybody that's overturning the status quo. Good for them. 855-450 free. That's for
any dead status lying on the ground is a victory for liberty.
855-450-3733. They managed to do it without killing anybody, Mark. They took over the police department. They took over City Hall.
I thought political power came from the barrel of a gun. I guess they'll just keep it with peace.
No, they need people with guns coming down there. More coming up. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
The next generation wallet is coming from Divvy. In just a few taps, you'll be able to send, earn, spend, and exchange digital money in seconds. Send money around the globe with only a swipe. Instantly exchange between Divvy, Bitcoin, and fiat right in the mobile app and withdraw directly to your bank account. Divvy already offers the first one-tap solution for earning passive income with crypto. Multi-tiered masternodes allow everyone to partake in the network. Visit DivvyProject.org. DivvyProject.org.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do. I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, you dial in toll free, bring up whatever you want. Whether you want to comment on what's happening in Seattle with the Chaz, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, an area around City Hall, apparently, that has been taken over by protesters. There's a jubilant atmosphere of peace that apparently has taken over in the absence of the police who have left the area. And Mark laughs, but he doesn't live there, and he doesn't really know what it's like. I spoke with somebody today who has a coworker that lives right in the heart of that place, and she says everything's fine. Everything's
fine until it's not.
Yeah, well, what's going to be the problem is when the police come in and try to take it back and start cracking heads. Then it won't be fine, but that hasn't happened yet. We will find out how that develops and, of course, take your calls and thoughts about whatever you want to discuss.
Well, there could be a crime committed inside that 6-block area in that period of time. I mean, revelers tend to commit more crimes than those who are not reveling.
Well, then the new autonomous zone will have a challenge on their hands.
Certainly will. Maybe they could sit around in a powwow and smoke a bowl and come to some kind of conclusion on how to solve the problem. Hey, man, you shouldn't have touched her in that place, man.
Or maybe it'll be better than that. Mark, you really don't know. Intercoin's programmable coins are designed to help groups raise money for a new project or initiative in a way that's compliant with regulations. Coins can represent securities that can obey individual rules, like not being sold to U.S. residents for 40 days. Purchase coins can contain rules that govern how they are to be spent and when they can be cashed out. And Intercoin itself is designed to provide full trustless liquidity between any currency pairs, removing the need to list coins on exchanges to enable secondary trading. Intercoin is attempting to regain some of our freedoms that are threatened on the internet and in meat space, and we think it's important here on Free Talk Live, so important that we accepted $40,000 worth of Intercoin tokens from Intercoin Incorporated for advertising. If you think freedom is important too, check out Intercoin at intercoin.org. You can invest in this project and potentially make big gains, or just be involved and perhaps shape its future. Intercoin.org. As we continue here, you can bring up what you want. Wolfgang is on the line in Nevada. Wolfgang, you're on Free Talk Live, listening online.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about two related points. So first, the Seattle Times says that the assistant police chief says that the protesters have set up barricades in the neighborhood and are apparently demanding to see people's IDs, and in some instances, residents and business owners have been asked to pay a fee to operate in a roughly 6-block area around the precinct. So,
protection money and government IDs. I mean, isn't this not glorious? Yeah, hurrah to our new rulers!
Now, hold on. Now, as far as libertarians and conservatives, they seem to be playing this all wrong. When they say, on both sides, or everything I've heard so far from libertarians, no one's really zeroed in on on how to play this, which is they're saying defund the police. So we should immediately say, fantastic. Now there's nobody with guns to enforce the tax laws and nobody with guns to enforce the gun laws and the victim disarmament laws. And no one's saying that. They're all like either afraid that there's going to be chaos or...
Right. As far as I'm concerned, when they say defund the police, I say, excellent, them and everybody else. Let's just defund the state.
Yeah.
No, but zero in on, look, so you're saying you're not going to be enforcing these gun laws, so now the shop owners can protect themselves instead of having to be beaten with 2x4s with no means of protecting themselves. This is like real liberal equality. Now we're all equal. Colt's making us equal. Now that they've decided to call the police off and not stop and not enforce the gun laws, as well as the tax laws.
At what point can you shoot somebody who's coming in and trying to extort money from you from
immediately?
Your shop?
Bum, 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 center of mass.
Well, especially if you've got a 2x4 and it's hitting your wife over the head, I think a gun will.
This happened. There's video of this.
Somebody got hit by a 2x4 in Seattle?
I think this was
there
in
is
DC.
massive video. You're not watching this stuff.
No. Ian's watching the things that he wants to watch.
I haven't watched any video in days.
Okay, but another point is that this is a Black Lives Matter labeled event, and labels are good. We can't complain about them. They have their words and symbols. They have meaning. That's how we communicate. And the cop block movement, the libertarian anti-police movement, it got co-opted by this making it a black thing. And I got out of the movement once that happened because it's not right.
Well, that's not what happened with Cop Block. Cop Block was not co-opted; it just kind of withered away. After
in general, during the Ron Paul Revolution, there was a lot of organizations and a lot of people fighting the police. And then the moment that it kind of got turned into with Kaepernick it got turned into a black thing, and that they totally ruined it. You know, the whole anti-police movement, and as long as it's labeled with a race, it's no good.
Yeah, I can't say I had the same experience with you. I mean, I've been involved with Cop Block for years,
and you were at several BLM protests.
And I wouldn't call that an anti-police movement. I would call it a police accountability movement. I think a lot of people within Cop Block probably were anti-police if you asked them individually. I, on the other hand, I don't have a problem necessarily with the idea of some sort of a protection service, but having them being accountable is certainly important to me. And in the case of Cop Block, The website still exists, but it was sold off a few years ago by its previous owner to a guy who basically bought the site sight unseen without really even knowing what he saw. I don't know if you know this, Mark, but when a website expires, the URL goes into sort of like an auction thing, and then you can bid on it. And so this guy was just bidding on, that looks like a cool domain name. I'd like to buy that. And he paid, I don't know, $1,200 or something like that for the URL.
Who does he pay it to?
Whichever company it is that's doing the auction, I think is how that works. The prior owner,
I didn't mean.
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to single them out particularly. I'm just saying the movement itself, the police accountability movement. That's a better label. I agree. That movement got co-opted once the BLM thing turned into a
what's the
racial
other?
thing.
I mean, besides Cop Block, what are some of the other more relevant organizations?
How about Overshadowed?
But besides Cop Block, can you name some of the other organizations like Cop Watch, for instance?
The Free Thought Project, which is still going, is staying true from what I can see to keeping it a non-racial thing. But a strict police accountability movement loses its meaning once it gets racialized.
No, I wouldn't disagree with you. If I'd seen the same thing happening, I would agree, but I'm not. I don't see the same thing happening. So, I mean, I'm sure that there are some people...
being used.
Huh?
It's being used to divide, like Mark was saying.
But who is it happening to? Like, what is the organizations that you're saying were taken over by Black Lives Matter that are police accountability?
Taken over. I'm saying the focus of just people who were concerned about the police. Now, their only place to go is to join a protest where the word black is on all the signs. And if you bring a sign that says all lives matter, you're liable to get in trouble.
Yeah, that's that much I have seen. I did see that at the Black Lives Matter in Manchester. A woman came and yelled all lives matter at the beginning of the event and was literally shouted down by however many hundreds of people.
Right, we live in a world where shouting all lives matter is bad. And that's
sad, but
I think it's a failure in the marketing of this whole thing, or it's a feature, one of the two, because there's just different narratives that go on here. In my opinion, police brutality is bad, and it doesn't matter against whom it's perpetrated.
Yeah, and I would agree with you there. And thank you, Wolfgang, for the call tonight. I definitely appreciate the discussion. I don't think it's gone as far as he's suggesting. Black Lives Matter created protests. People are going to those protests. I mean, that doesn't prevent anyone else from making their own protest and putting whatever message it is that they would like to do that there. Just because Black Lives Matter has had tremendous success recently at those protests doesn't mean that they have taken over the police accountability movement. They're just the movement of the moment that people are attracted to because they're doing something. Libertarians, they can't get a crowd like that. I mean, unless it's Ron Paul.
And haven't been able to.
Ron Paul can do it at the drop of a hat, but your typical libertarian organization, they're not getting up past noon. 855-450-FREE, that's 855-450-3733. I mean, I wish it were different, but fact is, people just don't care about freedom. Not that many of them. More coming up here in moments. It's Free Talk Live.
So you're wearing a mask every day now?
Yeah.
Where are you getting them?
Same website where I get my neck and body wraps, sunnybay.com.
Really?
And they're handmade, just like their wraps in the USA.
Oh, and good quality?
Oh, very good. These are disposable face masks. And they make cloth face masks, too.
Good price?
That's the best part. 10 masks for only $6.
Wow.
As a public service, sunnybay.com is now making cloth face masks by hand in the Seattle area and sourcing disposable face masks with level 1 protection at sunnybay.com. Get a 10-pack of high-quality disposable face masks for only $6, or choose a handmade, washable, reusable cloth face mask with high 2 layers of quality cotton fabrics. Supplies are limited. Get details and order at sunnybay.com, a Biomed DB design company. Go to sunny-bay.com for disposable or cloth face masks. Just click sunny-bay.com. That's sunny-bay.com.
This is a pandemic survival alert, and the most time-sensitive messages you will hear this year. You still have time to plant a 1-acre crisis garden and secure a supply of your own nutrient-dense food. But time is running out, and it's one deadline you don't want to miss. Who should plant a crisis garden? Individuals, families, churches, communities, anyone or any group that sees hard times ahead. Let's face it, even the mainline media is talking about food supply disruptions and the growing number of grocery store workers who are becoming sick. But there's more. Meet Packing plants are closing, mile-long lines at food pantries, and more farmers now in financial trouble. The truth is, growing nutrient-dense vegetables this summer may be the single most important thing you do. Go to survivalseedbank.com and watch the new video to understand what we're really up against. Get free bonus seeds, special quarantine reports too. Don't wait, every minute counts. Go to survivalseedbank.com. That's survivalseedbank.com.
If you're David, a few well-chosen words can help level the playing field with Goliath. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. Recently, I saw a Yellow Pages ad for an appliance repair company, and the headline read, "Why wait for Sears?" If you're going to the Yellow Pages, the Dead Sea Scrolls of advertising, you're ready to buy right now. So this is an attention-grabbing message. And how about the plumber whose radio ad says, "Call by noon Thursday, and we'll be there Saturday at no extra cost"? Smart guy. Most plumbing firms give their crew the weekend off. This one gives them Sunday and Monday off. In the words of a respected advertising executive, cut to the chase, make it quick, and tell me exactly what you can do for me, especially if you're looking for work. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE. If you are in the so-called Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone and you want to talk about what it's really like, because some people claimed that some warlord is threatening business owners and trying to extort money from them, although I've also heard that that's not true. So, what is the actual truth in the autonomous zone? If you're there and you want to jump into the conversation, you can do that. Our number is 855-450-FREE. It's Ian and Mark here in the studio tonight, and we're going to continue with more of your calls and thoughts. He's Dave Ridley on our Discord server. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, hey. So I wanted to talk a little bit about anti-drone extremism. Okay. As the COVID crisis and the other crises have played out, the government of New Hampshire has continued to try and move forward with restrictions on people while everyone's paying attention to everything else. And the latest restriction is this, I think they voted on today in the House. It's called House Bill 1580. I don't know which way the vote went. It was scheduled, I think, to be voted on today, but it's they're attempting to make it illegal, according to the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance, to make it illegal to photograph from the air people on the ground without getting all of their permission, even if they're just walking around on a public street.
Ridiculous. Okay. Was that it?
Now, the other aspect of this that is less controversial is they're trying to ban the private ownership of drones that have weaponized capability, or they're weaponized drones.
Oh, that's no fun.
Yeah, I mean, now I know that many people will probably support that aspect of it. But
well, they should be banning the police from having those things, but the average person should be able to have that.
Right, because if you think about it, if you're advocating that, people aren't just. This bill doesn't just advocate that people shouldn't have these things. It advocates that everyone should have their money taken from them and then given to the government and then used to stop people from having these things. And that's different.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's always whenever the legislature's in session, your freedom is in jeopardy, right?
It certainly is.
I guess they met in they were scheduled to meet in some big auditorium outside the normal State House grounds.
Right. They're supposedly social
they could-
distancing in their legislative sessions now, which means they have to have some sort of a massive auditorium, because previously it was 400. New Hampshire's got 400 state reps, so that's a lot. That's more than any other state in the United States, and so they all sit real close together. Normally, they sit real close together in a relatively small building. And so now with 400 state reps, they really they're spreading them out as over some massive auditorium, I guess, at like one of the colleges, I think, in New Hampshire.
I say we let them have a swamp and meet in the outside in the swamp, and they can have as much social distancing as they want.
Thank you, Dave Ridley. Appreciate hearing from you tonight. That's, by the way, Dave Ridley from RidleyReport.com. As we go to Scott. He's calling us from California, listening online. Scott, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
I dig your show, man.
Thanks.
Although I must admit, it's more interesting when you guys disagree.
All right.
I think that's the whole formula, basically, yeah.
Well, we've had some of that tonight. Go ahead, Scott. What was on your mind?
Well, anyways, about the Seattle situation, I have a concern that I haven't heard anybody bring up. Apparently, these guys have control over some government buildings, and
Capitol Hill.
There's at least one bank.
Really?
And what I'm wondering is, are these guys going through like people's personal records? They're breaking into government servers and bank servers and getting people's bank accounts.
Okay, so you heard they've taken over a bank? Because I presume there are bank
buildings.
buildings.
There is one bank in the area that they have taken over.
Really? Interesting. Do you know which one?
And I don't know anything specific about the bank. I just heard there's one bank in that area.
I mean, I would presume there'd be more than one bank in 6
What about
blocks.
the government building? What about town hall or the government building?
Yeah, they did take over
what about
City
all the
Hall.
personal records? Yeah, what about all the personal records of the citizens of that?
Well, if you
state
thought
there?
the government was going to keep your records safe, well, you
Well,
got another
okay,
thing coming.
I understand you want to be quippy about this, but I'm bringing up a real concern that nobody's saying. I mean, it's
I
fine
don't
to
know.
live
I guess
and,
is the answer.
Try to be funny, but
One
I
would
mean, do you
presume
think it's do you
presume
think-
that there's logins and that sort of thing to these, these bank computers, keeping them relatively
Okay, forget
safe.
about the bank. Forget about the bank. We're talking about the government building. Okay.
All right.
So you're telling me that you don't think it's even possible that these guys could be ransacking the government servers
Oh,
or
yeah. I hope they
all the
are.
records that are in there? You hope they are.
Yeah, I hope they're
Getting
destroying
people's
them.
personal information and
Well, that's a
getting people's
possibility.
Personal information. And,
Do you remember the movie
and
Wisdom?
Possibly targeting people for political assassinations, trying to see what people's political views are, so that you don't think that's even
that voter
possible.
registration is public information, right?
You can get the list of people who voted Republican.
Listen, the voting thing is that's one thing. I
what are you worried
understand
they're
you
going to
wanna try
find?
to
That you
belittle
own a
anybody's
house?
real concern.
You know the homeowner information is also
Dude,
public
are you
information,
serious?
right?
Are you serious? You're saying it's not a concern.
No, I'm
to
asking you,
have
what are you worried that they're
people
going to find?
rummaging through people's personal.
Okay,
so you
what
just put your
personal information,
out
sir,
there for anybody to
Scott,
see?
what personal information are you so worried about here? Governments have information about you, including like where you live.
Do you want people rummaging through your personal
Scott,
records?
can you stop for a moment and listen
I'm
to my
asking
question?
you a question.
You haven't let me ask the question yet.
Okay.
Okay.
But
so what specifically information do you believe the government has that they're keeping secret about you that these people are going to go through that they couldn't already get from, say, let's say, homeowner information on property ownership, which is public information, or voter registration information, which is public information? So what else are they going to get?
Okay, you got social security numbers, you got fucking ID
You can't
numbers.
say that on the radio. We got to drop you. Sorry, buddy. Tried to have a conversation. You're a little too fired up there.
So I think that
he's worried they're going to get your social security number.
Yeah, the complaint that people may very well that the government has done a poor job of maintaining your security over your records does not surprise me. The government loses your records all the time.
Sure.
and sometimes they just sell it.
A lot of times, DMV especially.
What I would say is that I would think that if, and I'm not supporting this at all, but if there is either a positive or a negative to these, far left folks taking over the city hall, that it would be a positive. And I'm thinking of the movie Wisdom with Emilio Estevez.
I'm not familiar with this.
Yeah,
it's the 1980s.
It's a great movie, and what they do is they go bank to bank and they burn people's mortgage records.
Ah, okay.
Basically giving them their property. So it's an anti-bank, power to the people kind of movie. But I kind of like it in so much as it's going after the banks as opposed to going after, and you have to really sort of know how banks create money to support it. But nonetheless, it had a real sort of leftist vibe to it, and they may very well go through and destroy this information. At which point, well, that might be good. I would like the government to lose the information on my property. That way, they can't send me a property tax bill.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't bother me if they went in there and destroyed the property, office or whatever.
Rolls. Yeah,
just destroy the place, break their computer systems or whatever. I can understand the guy's concern. He doesn't want some protester to get his hands on a social security number. Okay, well, guess what? If you work at a variety of different businesses, they have access to that sort of information because a lot of businesses will ask you for a social security number, like if they're going to run a credit check on you, for instance. Before you open up a cable system account, right? Like you get a cable TV or cable modem, you got to go through a credit check. Sometimes this happens, sometimes it doesn't. Depends on where you are and so on and so forth. But there's plenty of private companies that ask people for their social security numbers. They've got that stuff on databases. We've seen hackers get into their systems without physically breaching anything, right? The hackers just breach digitally into these systems, download terabytes or gigabytes or whatever of information, and then sell that stuff on the dark net. And then all of a sudden, you start to get emails coming into your email box with threats and revealing passwords that you thought you long since didn't have. How did they get your password? Well, somebody cracked into a system somewhere that had a stored password of yours, and that information got sold on the dark web. So it's not like your social security number isn't already in jeopardy of being stolen in a variety of different ways.
It's probably already been stolen.
Yeah. So I mean, that to me, that is like the least concerning aspect of what is going on in Seattle. But everybody's got their concerns.
The problem with the social security number is it's issued by the government. You're required to use it. This is a really faulty piece of information.
Right. And you can't trust the government to take care of your information, as you pointed out, Mark. I mean, they've lost data. They've taken data on a laptop and left it on the back of a toilet at an airport. Somebody just walks away with however many gigabytes of data were on that. So these guys, they're not liable when they lose your data either, by the way, because you don't have a contract with them. There's no social contract. That's a bunch of BS. So if they lose your data, sorry. Maybe you can change your social security number or something like that, but that'd be my best recommendation in that case. By the way, there are like protection services that can watch your social security, the pings or whatever, and you can find out if somebody's got your number. More coming up.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had gotten involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream, for everyone to use it in everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that's as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone? you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection, you can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with the SNLS Network and listeners like you. Online at snlsnetwork.com. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,738, silver at $18.34, and Bitcoin is trading around $9,874. Today's gold, silver, and Bitcoin prices are brought to you by Brave Botanicals. High-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven. The Liberty Beat and Brave Botanicals believe so strongly in the power of kratom, we're giving it away for free. Just go to libertybeat.news/free kratom. This is the Liberty Beat at snlsnetwork.com. In the news, conflicting reports about COVID-19 have sprung from both official and non-official sources. On Tuesday, Maria Van Kerkhove, Ph.D. of the World Health Organization, caused a firestorm of reactions from health experts across the globe after declaring in a press briefing that transmission of COVID-19 via asymptomatic individuals is very rare. Minpress News reports that less than a day later, Kerkhove was compelled to walk her statements back, clarifying that in essence, no one really knows. The harshest criticisms to the WHO's comments came mostly from the mainstream press, while the scientific community itself seemed more reserved, and in some cases, concurred. Professor Keith Neal, Emeritus Professor of the Epidemiology of Infectious Diseases at the University of Nottingham, conceded that the role asymptomatic transmission plays in the total number of new infections remains unclear, but symptomatic people are responsible for most of the new infections of COVID-19. Ever wonder where we find all the news to report right here on the Liberty Beat? Visit snls.news to get the world's most censored media published all in one place. Save yourself from the endless time spent searching for reliable alternative media. SNLS News makes it quick and easy. No ads, no clickbait, just raw headlines, 24 hours a day. Visit snls.news and get informed today without the corporate media spin. Your news now continues. Last week, a West Virginia law imposing strict reporting requirements for all asset forfeitures in the state went into effect. Enactment of the bill takes the first step that could lead to substantial reforms, including closing a federal loophole that allows police to bypass strict state asset forfeiture laws. Activist Post reports a bipartisan coalition of 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat introduced the House bill in February. The new law requires law enforcement agencies to report extensive details about asset forfeitures in the state, including the type and value of property seized and whether someone was charged with a crime when the property was forfeited. It also requires reporting on federal equitable sharing. Under the law, the information will be compiled on a publicly available website. After police in Seattle, Washington retreated from the Capitol Hill neighborhood, protesters took over the abandoned regime precinct and erected barricades to mark an autonomous zone for several blocks around it. 6 blocks of downtown Seattle have been declared the Free Capitol Hill Zone, or Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, according to area activists that have taken control of Seattle PD's East Precinct on 12th Avenue and East Pine Street. The Free Thought Project reports journalist Julio Rosas tweeted photos from the zone, including flyers demanding that Seattle PD be defunded, and declaring that police will, quote, always be racist because capitalism requires inequality, end quote. Police Chief Carmen Best confirmed that her department evacuated the precinct on Monday evening as an exercise in trust and de-escalation. 2 days earlier, Seattle PD used flashbangs and pepper spray to push back demonstrators at 11th Avenue and Pine Street, just a block away, after they had moved a security barricade and allegedly threw objects at officers. Support for the Liberty Beat is brought to you by the Homestead Guru. The Homestead Guru is an educational website offering tips, tools, news, stories, and commentary on everything homesteading. Topics include green homes, gardening, animal husbandry, do-it-yourself, home remedies, alternative energy, survivalism, unschooling, and more. Those details are found online at thehomestead.guru. This is the Liberty Beat, powered by the SNLS Network at snlsnetwork.com. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Following reports earlier today that Indiana University freshman Lawrence Plotnick's roommate Brian Tabor has found an excuse to go home every weekend since August, Plotnick spoke to Onion reporters about his roommate's frequent trips to his nearby hometown of Terre Haute, Indiana.
Every week since we got here, it seems like every time I ask him if he wants to hang out on Friday, he has some wedding or birthday party or something. In fact, I'm pretty sure he hasn't spent a single Friday or Saturday night on campus in the past 6 months.
Plotnick went on to cite a variety of far-ranging excuses used by his roommate to justify his constant visits home, including various family functions, a visiting friend from China, as well as his occasional desire to, quote, just hang out at home for a couple of days.
I mean, I suppose I vaguely understood when he had to go back in November because his best friend's grandfather died, but last weekend he had to go back for his aunt and uncle's wedding anniversary. He said he couldn't miss it.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the program. The toll-free number if you want to join us, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
We're going to go back to your calls and thoughts. We've been talking about the Seattle takeover of 6 blocks, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. Como News reporting that it is now entering its third day, or I guess it's completing at this point its third day. It's 2 full nights, 3 days at this point since protesters took over and the police left the area. They say at Como News a dance of trust is being played out in the 6-square block area that the occupiers have taken over, with people at checkpoints asking those entering what the purpose of their visit is all about. Roz Simone, who some have told Como News is one of the leaders in what many say is a leaderless group of protesters, he said, quote, "You look around, it's peaceful. Everyone is chill," he said. And that lack of an organized leadership is hampering efforts to bring back some normalcy to the area and have officers return to the precinct. One of the spokesbureaucrats said. She adds her department and other city departments are trying to find the leaders of the Chaz to negotiate a roadmap for the area's immediate future. She said police are receiving reports of armed people manning the checkpoints, intimidating people trying to enter. Letts said that, quote, "While Washington is an open carry state, there is no legal right for those arms to be used to intimidate community members." Letts said operating a citizen checkpoint on a public street is illegal. Quote, "We have heard anecdotally of citizens and businesses being asked to pay a fee to operate within this area. This is the crime of extortion." So she said anecdotally, so that doesn't necessarily mean there's a whole lot of evidence for those allegations.
Yeah, the news is fluid the more that it reaches tea time.
Tea time?
Tea
like
time.
Golf tea time or tea time drinking tea time?
So tea time means the time that has been designated. At this point, I am designating tea time as now.
What do you refer? I don't get it. What are you saying?
Okay, let me rephrase. The news becomes more fluid, meaning less likely to be true, the closer it is to now.
The closer the news is to now.
Correct.
Okay. But what's happening on Capitol Hill is having an effect citywide on SPD responses, say officials. Quote, "Right now we're on priority calls only, which means the people citywide who need a police response are not receiving it." Well, what are you going to do about it? The police aren't responding to calls. Are you going to get your money back? Probably not.
No, but are the hippies in piles responding to police calls?
I don't know, but if you get rid of the government police, something is going to have to come up in their place, and the question is, what would that look like? And these are things that free market people have been speculating about for many years. Maybe we'll get to see some alternatives tried in the autonomous zone there in Seattle. We go to Mike. He's in Tennessee listening to WGOW in Chattanooga. Go ahead, Mike. Mike in Tennessee.
Good evening, guys.
Hey, we got you. Go ahead.
I just wanted to call and say that this thing going on in Seattle is completely ridiculous. I have no idea why the police would allow this sort of stuff and not just go in there and push these people out. This is not a way to show that defunding the police is the right thing or the wrong thing. Having random people just overtake entire blocks of a major city. It's the most craziest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
Yeah, it is definitely interesting.
I also wanted to ask, you had mentioned something in passing about weaponized drones and that becoming illegal for like a residential kind of neighborhood to have.
Yeah, it was Dave Ridley who called in to say there was some sort of bill it was specifically to New Hampshire that was talking about prohibiting the private ownership of a weaponized drone.
I am all for bearing arms, but I think that's a little bit excessive when you need to arm your drone to protect your property.
Well, what if you're being attacked by people who are, not in favor of you and they want to take your property from you? Wouldn't it be fair to use a robot to defend you?
I don't know. You would have like a robot, say an alarm system is kind of a robot itself, right?
Yeah, sure.
And that is perfectly legal.
Yeah. What if the alarm system releases drones that are armed?
I just think it's a little excessive.
I mean, if I can have an attack dog that I can release, why shouldn't I be able to have a attack drone?
Yeah, I mean, if you're controlling the drone, then you're responsible for the actions of the drone. I mean, it's not even actions of the drone.
These aren't
your
autonomous
actions.
drones. These are drones that are driven by someone.
So, therefore...
they're not like...
Right. These aren't AI robots. This isn't Skynet.
I mean, it could be that someday, but it's more likely the police are going to have that than anybody else.
If in this case, I mean, basically it's just effectively a gun that you're not holding in your hand, but you're still controlling. So... All right. I mean, I don't see that that's a particular problem.
Do you want to send the drone around the corner or a human being around the corner, right? Like the drones, if they blast the drone away, then no one dies. It's okay. To me, it seems like drones are a really smart thing to have if you're talking about defending your property.
When you say it like that, you definitely sold me on it. I was thinking... like the danger, like you're saying, like the AI, and then who's responsible if the drone shoots somebody, the homeowner, or the drone, and then that just becomes so crazy.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Probably not a good idea to have a drone roaming around armed with no one responsible for it. That does sound pretty risky. Thank you, Mike, for your call. I appreciate it, man. Toll-free number is 855.
Got to watch our language, I guess.
450-FREE.
It's a fair thing to have assumed.
Sure. 855-450-3733. Some businesses told Como News off camera they are worried about their own safety, but others aren't as concerned. One of the protesters said, quote, "There's a lot of mixed emotions going on right now. Some people are happy with it. Some people aren't." And the community said, one of the activists with the Northwest Film Forum, which is just doors away from the Seattle Police East Precinct, Ms. Vivian Hua, says, quote, "The community seemed to be really happy that they were in a space without antagonist police presence or exchanges." Christopher Dura lives nearby, saying the entire experience is one worth learning from. He said, quote, "I was up here last night. There are people having teach-ins, talks, political discussions." They said. Some tall tales are coming out of the Chaz, which is the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, but the trouble is that there's just enough truth in the stories being told to cast doubt on what's a lie. What's real might be scary enough for some people, but there are also dangerous exaggerations that have taken on a life of their own. So you really kind of have to be there, I think, to really know what is going on.
I mean, that's not really the nature of news. News is information for people who aren't there.
Yep, and they do, what they can to try to communicate that. However, armed citizens are patrolling the streets around the police station. Washington is an open carry state, but police said there are limits. As for any police facilities being taken over past this point, that is false. A Como News photographer did find barricades and other measures going up at the South Police Precinct, but possibly as a preemptive measure at this point.
So Seattle's a open carry state, which means you can open carry, I guess, a rifle by the sounds of it.
As it should be.
I'm not saying that's a problem, but it's unusual that a far left city would make it easy for you to have a gun.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the gun rules are in Seattle. Maybe Mike knows a little bit. He's close by, calling us from KBKW there in Aberdeen, Washington. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, I got some sad news, but this is my last night on KBKW to listen to you guys, and I'm wondering on my Android phone, what are my other options? And I know I don't, programming is what it is for stations, so Boss Bill had to make some changes.
Yeah, I know what you're referring to. KBKW is cutting back Free Talk Live's 1 hour that we had on weeknights there. They took the, I think it was the third hour live from 6 to 7 Pacific time. They are going to stick with us on weekends, from what I understand. I think they have us on Saturdays on KBKW. So we're not going away completely from the station. But yeah, if you would like to listen online any old time, you can do that over at freetalklive.com. There are live streams and videos and everything you need there.
If you listen during showtime, it's 7p to 10p Eastern.
That's Eastern, yeah.
Yeah, it should be very easy to listen.
So on Seattle, I had a dear artist friend. He passed he actually went to Cornish. He lived on Capitol Hill. He taught developmental disabled people to become janitors. He was a great person. And we lost him to an epileptic. He went in the pool on a round-the-world bicycle trip when he retired, and that was that. But he would be burning police cars right now.
Hold that thought, Mike. I want to hear more about what you think's going on in Seattle with the so-called autonomous zone. You can weigh in coming up here. Free Talk Live.
This COVID-19 thing has turned the world upside down. Regardless of what you believe about it, it has changed our lives. But what's not changed is that if you own a business, you need to advertise to reach new customers or clients. Our audience is not the kind to stick their heads in the sand during a crisis. They are fully engaged and more active than ever. Special advertising packages are available to you to help you not just recover, but thrive. Email my sales manager, Matthew at freetalklive.com.
Got shaving irritation? Shave Secret shaving oil can help stop it. Shave Secret doesn't cost much and is an all-American product. My name is Chuck Howard, and I developed Shave Secret and pioneered its use starting back in 1991. Ingrown hairs drove me nuts for years. Shaving oil changed all that. Why put up with ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts? Shave Secret provides men and women with what we believe is the best shave ever. Our proprietary blend of 100% natural base and essential oils, plus a hint of menthol, was designed to help eliminate shaving irritations like ingrown hairs, bumps, red rash, nicks, and cuts. We'll lose those shaving irritations. Available at Super Walmart, H-E-B, Wegmans, Giant Eagle, Discount Drug, Navy and Marine Exchanges, Amazon, and ShaveSecret.com. Use the code FTL for Free Talk Live to get a discount. Shave Secret, the best shave ever.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Free Talk Live.
It's not just zoning rules, it's everything.
It's true.
It's everything. There's
so many
rules.
rules.
Many laws. You can't possibly know them. It's physically an impossibility to know the laws. You know not to hurt other people. I don't need a law telling me to do that. But the rest of them? Totally inaccessible.
It's true.
It's written in legalese. If you don't have training in reading that crap, it might as well be a foreign language. And as you pointed out, it doesn't matter if you can read it.
I thought I had them dead to rights. And these bureaucrats, they just like, no, we do whatever we want here at the zoning board.
Yeah, that's right.
And you'll kiss our butts.
Peon, serf,
slave. You'll do what we say.
Yeah. Why label them citizens?
Oh.
Why not just call it what it is? You're a serf. You're a slave.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Yep, Free Talk Live. You're invited if you want to join the show. You can take control of the airwaves here. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
Local.bitcoin.com is a website where you can actually buy or sell Bitcoin Cash, and there's dozens of payment methods on there. They're celebrating their first year, by the way. It was this month. Last year, we started promoting this site. It just had launched in June of 2019, so kudos to them for making it through the first year. And there are still no ID requirements to sign up for the site, unlike some of these Bitcoin selling websites where they just want to know everything about you. Local.bitcoin.com doesn't have to ask you any questions like that because they don't actually have custody of your funds. You have the keys to the coins that you have on local.bitcoin.com. So if you want to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash, get on over there at local.bitcoin.com. So we go back to Mike in Washington State, listening to KBKW in Aberdeen. Mike, you're back on Free Talk Live. Comments on the Seattle situation with the so-called Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone.
I'm going to do some time traveling because when I was about 4 years old, we lived on Harvard Avenue on Capitol Hill right behind the university, and that is where the action's at right now. In those days, in the 60s, it was all black. Today, it is what I would call very radical, underground type of community with a lot of, I think the word is academics, people that are way, way smarter than our government and our police force and the brains of our community. And I think what they should do is let them have it as a test, let them put up their windmills, let them put up their solar panels, let them turn their bicycle streets into bicycle paths because they don't drive, and they can have gardens going down the middle of Broadway. Plus, they already have the Chicken Soup Brigade there, which is a huge source of food. It started with the AIDS epidemic in those years, and it's still there. So there's a food chain right there for them already. But it sounds like if they want to charge people to come and open their store, then they've already started their own little government, which is what they don't want.
Well, I mean, government or gang. Oh, but I repeat myself. So what I would say is that, look, I'm for people being able to set up their own autonomous communities, and I've been for that on the air for a long time. The problem is that in many cases people want to rule others, and if they don't own it, then I don't think it should be given to them. Let them go buy a piece of property and rule it themselves. If they can attract people that want to come live there. Go ahead.
Well, Seattle's famous for testing things like homeless camps and stuff like that. So why not test that and just let them see if they can form their own, what I don't know what you would call it, their shire, if that's what you want, and just see how it goes. And when they need to fill up a pothole, they can get their bike trailer out and go haul some cement all the way up that hill and fill the hole in.
Yeah, I went to some of the. I was when I was in Seattle. I walked by some of those tested homeless communities you're talking about, and they smelled like urine.
Yeah. Plus, but there's no shortage of drugs.
Well,
hey, everybody's got its ups and downs.
It's Nicholsville. That was Nicholsville. So I don't know. Let them have it. I don't care anymore. I live out in the country. And
there you go. That's the difference you were talking about before, right, Mark? Where the country folk, they're like, let the cities burn. Who cares?
Let them do what they do. Look, all the cities are to the country is the place that buys the food that we produce.
Right. So, yeah, there you go. Anyway, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
And I'll look for you on other means.
I appreciate it,
Bye.
man. Thank you for the feedback. And you can share your thoughts here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. The freethoughtproject.com also reporting on the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. And the folks behind the Free Thought Project are voluntarist types, from what I understand. I've met a couple of those guys over the years at the Porcupine Freedom Festival.
Yep.
I don't know who's writing this particular story, but they are citing, it looks like maybe RT, Russia Today, talking about the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, or the CHAZ, the area, 6-block area, taking control of Seattle PD's East Precinct and apparently City Hall as well. According to one report, the report of the armed personnel appears to have been confirmed by another activist who said that members of the John Brown Gun Club, a leftist militia.
You know what John Brown is?
No, who is
He's
that?
contemporary partner of Lysander Spooner. They were,
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were abolitionists, both. And John Brown was the one who led a rebellion, I believe, in Mississippi. Now, it didn't work, but they killed people. It was a violent, abolitionist uprising. And I'm curious, always curious, what people think about this guy, because he clearly used violent means, but it's now been almost 200 years, or going on 200 years, at least 150 years. So, what do Americans think about people shooting slave owners and people who are supporting slave owners in this circumstance? Because I think it's legitimate. I mean,
if what you were doing was setting the slaves free, then I'd say that's legitimate.
Yeah.
I mean, you're taking out a slaver, I'm not going to shed any tears.
Ultimately, that's how I feel too. But I'm not sure everybody feels the same way, and
I'm sure there are still some supporters of slavery, Mark, who would disagree with you.
This guy was radical in his day, but I mean, he still kind of drips radicalism. Is what I'm saying. John Brown.
So the John Brown Gun Club, which is a leftist militia, also known as Redneck Revolt. You remember us? Were you on the show when we talked about the Redneck Revolt people?
I think so.
Yeah, so it's like a leftist redneck group, basically.
Okay.
Sort of the union labor kind of workaday folks who are of the leftist belief system, but they believe in guns and they believe in using guns to protect the things that are important to them. So you definitely have the gun-toting leftists out there, which is great. I think there should be people, defending their property, although they may be against property. So who knows what they actually believe in that particular group. But sympathizers have described the atmosphere inside the zone as, quote, wonderful, unquote, and peaceful, more like a concert than anything else. Let's see, at Twitter from @CreamPeachesAnn, Peachy Keen says, visited the autonomous Capitol Hill in Seattle this morning. Absolutely unreal energy there. Organizers are protecting the barricades by sitting peacefully. Food, water, ponchos, and medical supplies are everywhere. People are listening to music and talking. It's wonderful.
And I believe you can be peaceful with a rifle in your hand. I don't think everybody thinks that, but I do.
Quote, police want you to think that without them there will be chaos, but what if without them there was peace? Mused resistance activist Joshua Potash, holding up Seattle as an example of what Democrats demand to defund the police might produce.
Well, okay, so maybe there'll be peace by whatever standard, but is anybody willing to say that there won't be crimes committed in this Capitol Hill region?
Seems like inevitably a crime will happen at some point.
It probably has, as a matter of fact. And by crime, I don't mean something that's illegal. By crime, I mean something that's immoral. I mean somebody aggressing against someone's person or property. Right. A lot of these people probably don't believe in property at all. So, there's that. But so let's just use person. Has somebody had their person aggressed against inside this region in the last 4 days? And I would say the chances are probably pretty high. But if not, it's certainly going to happen in the next 40 days.
Maybe so. Well, we know that when that happens in real life, or, the other world that was existing before the autonomous zone, that in that case, the police may not show up anyway.
Certainly true. But if these people don't have a plan for dealing with that, they're not talking about peace. They're talking about subservience. That's all.
Just because people don't have a plan doesn't mean that one won't, sort of surface when is necessary. I mean, through whatever market forces are
They're leftists.
involved.
I know what plan will surface.
The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
Did you know you can support freedom of speech just by visiting shop.freetalklive.com? You'll see links to Walmart, Love Java, Newegg, and more. Every day, Free Talk Live is at the forefront of the liberty movement as the biggest liberty-oriented talk show in the world, giving you a platform to be heard on any topic. Get listener-only specials without doing anything other than an extra click. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. Use the links and buy what you'd be buying anyway. Take action now. Save and support freedom. Visit shop.freetalklive.com. It's shop.freetalklive.com. The next generation wallet is coming from Divvy. In just a few taps, you'll be able to send, earn, spend, and exchange digital money in seconds. Send money around the globe with only a swipe. Instantly exchange between Divvy, Bitcoin, and fiat right in the mobile app and withdraw directly to your bank account. Divvy already offers the first one-tap solution for earning passive income with crypto. Multi-tiered masternodes allow everyone to partake in the network. Visit DivvyProject.org. DivvyProject.org.
The political world is a maddening cesspool of corruption and lies. Nobody tells the truth. Nobody keeps campaign promises. Nobody obeys the Constitution. Nobody puts the people first. How can we ever escape this web of tyranny? Vote for nobody.
Hi, my name is Nobody. I'm running for governor of New Hampshire because nobody knows how to live your life better than you do, and nobody deserves that kind of power. I want to put you back in control of your money, your lifestyle, your work, your body, and your life. Nobody should rule you but you. New Hampshire convicts many people of so-called crimes that should never have been prosecuted. If elected, I will pardon every victimless crime in New Hampshire history. This includes drug, gambling, prostitution, gun, and driving offenses. Nobody should have a criminal record when they have not harmed anybody.
Wouldn't it be nice to have nobody telling you what to do? Learn more at electnobody.com. electnobody.com.
Do you want more businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash and Dash? Now with AnyPay, you earn passive income for every purchase at those businesses. Finally, a financial incentive to spread Bitcoin Cash and Dash. You made it happen, so you receive the rewards. Download the AnyPay Cash Register app and add your cryptocurrency wallet addresses. Then install it at a real-life business and tell us what you did at AnyPayInc.com. AnyPayInc.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Here tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
We're going to go back to your phone calls and thoughts. We've been talking about the Seattle Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. I don't know if there's much else that I think we can really say about this. I mean, we're reading different reports. We've gone from, the mainstream media. We've looked at the Free Thought Project and elsewhere. But if you want to jump into the discussion, you're welcome to do that. We're going to go back to your phone calls and thoughts. It is one of the more interesting things happening out there. But honestly, I don't know what all is going on. There's a lot of stuff happening. There was a massive protest in Hollywood the other day I saw of some footage from, with just huge numbers of people in the streets there, like bigger than I've seen in many years anywhere in the United States. Usually you don't see more than, a few thousand folks at a big event, but this was tens of thousands. I mean, it's just a sea of human beings in the street. Obviously, people aren't that concerned about that whole coronavirus thing anymore, which is
the riots
refreshing. Yeah. Let's go back to, again, your calls and thoughts. Steve is in Washington State, listening to KBKW there in Aberdeen. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, what I was wondering is, do you guys know of any of those the freelance YouTube guys that are posting anything from Seattle? I haven't been able to find any.
Usually Ford Fisher is involved in this stuff. I haven't looked at his Twitter feed recently, in the last few hours anyway. I don't know where he is right now.
That's
from what I understand, we heard this morning that they're making basically mandatory donations to even enter the zone.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean that's paid protection. That's extortion.
Oh, that's taxes.
So, I would like to see.
Well, yeah, but
I would like to see some evidence for these claims. I mean, so far the police have claimed that they've been anecdotal. Has anybody actually tried to go up to one of these checkpoints with a video camera and see what their response is? They may lash out. I don't know. If they are indeed threatening people, they will lash out at somebody with a video camera, because then they're going to get some sort of evidence of it.
Well, I guess King 5 and Fox News or somebody did a little story. We were listening earlier on KBKW this morning, and there was some articles put out, and they were charging a fee to enter this area, whether you had a business in that area or whatever.
And they got that on footage? They got video of that?
Yeah, but what they didn't do is they didn't say what the amount was.
So it's just like an open donation?
Everybody's wondering, what's it really cost? And is it mandatory? Is it...
Ian, if you're going to your business, I got a question for you here. You seem to be in support of all of this.
I'm not supporting extortion.
No, you're in support of this.
No, I would drive over that dude if he said, give me money to go to my business.
Right. So, I mean, I guess, is it actually, my question would be, is it fair to use violence against somebody who's attempting to keep you from your business? If they just ask for money. If they just ask for money.
Absolutely.
Oh, if they just asked? No, unless they come at you.
No, wait a minute. So that's different if a guy approaches me in a Safeway parking lot and says, hey, man.
You don't get to attack a panhandler.
Okay.
And I said, no.
Let me retract my terminology. Right. If they demand, in order for you to pass a spot, now they haven't stopped you, they haven't done anything, they're just standing there looking like somebody who's collecting money.
They have stopped you because they're barricaded. Okay. You have to stop at the barricade to get in.
Mm-hmm.
So is it fair to use violence against somebody in that circumstance?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I'd drive right over the top of them.
Well, as long as they don't have a uniform, right?
I don't care.
Okay.
Are you
talking about... why would it make a difference if they had a uniform? I can go put my uniform back on if they want me to.
I've stopped at plenty of checkpoints by people who have uniforms.
Are you referring to the police, Mark, the government gang?
What exactly? I mean,
that's who you're referring to?
In Belize, I was stopped by at a checkpoint, and they wanted money for, I think, being a tourist or something like that. It wasn't much.
Same difference, right?
So were you paying to enter like a park or
just on the road, right?
Well, that's an interesting point. The park is maintained by the government, right? Shouldn't I be able to enter?
Well, where were you going?
I was just going down the road.
Yeah, so you were just stopped at a checkpoint and they extorted some money from you.
In Mexico or
Belize?
I mean, I don't know. I've never heard of being just stopped right down I mean,
that's because you live in the United States.
Toll bridges or whatever. Yeah, I mean,
you don't tend to see warlords or government gangsters stopping people in the streets and extorting money from them directly. They'll write you a ticket in the United States, and then you have to go to court.
Sure.
And then so there's all this window dressing around the same exact process.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is last week you could go to your business that you rent from the government because you pay property taxes.
Right.
And this week, somebody that's armed at a barricade is saying,
"Nope,
you have to pay to get in."
Allegedly. You haven't seen any actual evidence.
Right. Ian will believe any nonsense you say about the police. He'll believe it hook, line, and sinker. He'll gobble it up like a bunch of a bag full of bugles. But if you say one thing about
but these are, but if King 5 and there's multiple news sources that have said there's an amount that needs to be paid to enter.
But you haven't actually seen them show proof of that.
No.
That's the thing. The police are making these allegations according to the reports in the news. The police are the ones saying people are reporting these things to them. So what is the actual truth? That's why I want to see somebody with a video camera go up to one of these.
I'd like to see these independent people. There's these bunch of YouTube guys running around and they're live streaming. I mean, there's no better news
perfect
coverage
opportunity.
ever.
Steve, great call, man. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us here tonight.
Right.
So there's no better opportunity than, you've got a bunch of people in the streets, live stream. So that way, even if they grab your camera and smash it like the worst cops would do, right? Like if these guys at these checkpoints are as bad as the cops, they'll grab your camera and smash it and beat you.
If they're doing as they are accused, then they will do that.
Right. So if you're walking up to one of these checkpoints, you're walking into the Seattle checkpoint outside of the so-called autonomous zone at Capitol Hill, and you just mosey on by, you got your video camera, you're doing a video blog or something like that, well, then you'll get it on video, and they're like, hey, get over here. You got to pay $50 if you want to go in here, buddy. Then you'll get it on video, and then we'll all know that that's what's actually happening.
Would they be justified in using deadly force against somebody who said that?
That's a great question. I don't know about whether you could use deadly force against someone who just said, come over here and give me money. If they start attacking you, then I would say you absolutely have a right.
What if they've
to
got
use
a gun,
force.
a rifle in their hand that they're holding, and they say, give me money?
Then you're starting to get more into that
it's
realm.
Feeling
of
a lot like
it's more like
armed robbery, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What level of threat are they actually? Because if you're just some sort of crazy bum on the side of the road demanding money from people, but you're not actually a threat, then no, you shouldn't be able to shoot that guy.
That gets into the weeds of it. Is that what is the threat?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are enough bums that there are some crazy bums. And there are enough crazy bums in Seattle, I've been there, that, somebody would stand on a road and say, next to a barricade and say, you got to give me money to walk in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anybody who's ever parked their car near a nightclub in a city knows that, oftentimes the bums will hang out there and they say, hey, can you give me a few bucks to watch your car for you? Which means if you don't give me money, I'm going to knock your windshield in.
Raz Simone, the rapper who is apparently trying to position himself, according to some reports, as the leader of the No Cop Co-op, where hundreds have been encouraged to remain camped out to occupy the now graffiti-ridden zone in Seattle's Capital District that includes a shuttered police precinct. Simone denied accusations that he had declared himself a warlord of the Chaz, which has wooden barricades and armed checkpoints.
I'm a peace lord.
The checkpoints, they say, are meant to keep out uniformed police officers, and the sign hung above the precinct that reads, quote, "This space is now property of the Seattle people." The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live. Get your thoughts in the remaining moments coming up.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to generate an endless supply of natural silver solutions. SilverLungs.com. You'll find no wild claims or pseudoscience, just a lifetime of nano-sized pure silver solutions. The Silver Lungs generator allows you to make your own, so stop paying for silver solutions. The unique lung delivery system targets respiratory infections where other silver solutions simply cannot reach. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at SilverLungs.com. That's SilverLungs.com.
Attention homeowners that have ever had a broken appliance. That's a joke, right? We've all had broken appliances. I own a home just like you and have found a way for as little as $1 a day to have all the major appliances in my home on a warranty plan. They're guaranteed to be fixed or replaced. You know how expensive an air conditioner, the heating system, a washing machine, dryer, water heater, or refrigerator can be. For about $1 a day, all your major appliances are protected in case they break. Unless you're Daddy Warbucks or the Monopoly guy and you don't care about money, call my friends at the Home Service Club now and get a warranty on your major appliances. It's a free call and the first month is free. But be one of the first 25 people to call within the next 10 minutes.
800-825-6796. 800-825-6796. 800-825-6796. Again, that's 800-825-6796.
Looking for that edge during those intimate moments? We see many ads for enhancement, but the side effects include death. At GCN Team, we should change the Healthy Body, Brain, and Heart Pack to the Healthy Libido Pack. The brain and heart are not the only organs that require a healthy vascular system. For proper blood flow at the right moment, go to GCNteam.com or call 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203. That's 877-878-4203.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, you can dial in toll free. Bring up anything you want here. Our toll free number is 855-450-FREE. In these remaining moments, maybe enough time for you if you call in right now and you want to weigh in on what's happening in the CHAZ, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. Mark is waving this away. He thinks it's just going to dry up and, wither away, and then the police will be back and everything will be back to as normal. And that's probably the most likely scenario.
That's what happened at Occupy.
But then again, we are in an unusual circumstance where this hasn't really happened before. Occupy didn't take over an entire police station. They didn't take over an entire 6 blocks in a city. They didn't burn a police station in Minneapolis, which is what happened like a week ago at this point.
I will agree with you that these are strange times.
They are very interesting times, and certainly, as I said a few nights back, I think it was on the Sunday night show, where I was talking about my experience at the Nashua Black Lives Matter event, which had been almost completely co-opted by the political class, by these politicians that were oozing around and doing their political thing. Slithering, yeah. Well, anyway, I felt like, okay, well, if it does seem to be going in the same direction, at least here in New Hampshire, as Occupy did in the past, but New Hampshire ain't Seattle, and so there's definitely some differences, some pretty key differences that are going on in these places. So it's going to be something worth keeping an eye on. I'm curious to see how this pans out. It's definitely very different. And if you're in the Seattle area and you've got comments, obviously we'd love to hear from you. Let's go in the meantime to your calls and thoughts about whatever's on your mind. David is on the line in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to narc on our legislature here. And they have to call a special session of the New Mexico legislature because they're out of money and they're not going to make it if they don't call a special session. And Walmart is open. You can go in and shop there with your mask and all that, but you can't go into the legislature if you are the public during our special session because it's private.
That's all about, I hope that some people are paying attention to this.
God, they're creepy.
This whole government, they tried to pretend like they were open before. Well, now they're not even trying to pretend. Now it's just like, sorry, you can't come in. Nope, you can't watch our meetings. Nope, you can't participate.
Yeah, and this one, remember, this one's about the money. They're going in there they're $2 billion short of money, maybe $3 billion, and that's on a $8 billion budget. So they're like 30, 35, 40% short of money that they've been spending year in, year out. And they're going to go in and try to decide what they're going to cut and where they're going to get the money, and they don't want public anywhere around there to ask them no questions in the state of New Mexico.
They're doing the same thing in Saipan right now. Basically they've lost 80% of their GDP, at least 70% of their GDP.
International travel is down by 99%.
Right, and they're basically a tourist-based economy. Same stuff's going on there. I imagine that a lot of places are dealing with this particular situation. The politicians certainly do not want people seeing what's going on when
especially when the last governor, Lujan Grisham, came in, the first thing she did was give a 17% raise to her cabinet secretaries and gave over 10% to her whole entourage, like 100 and some people of her administrative staff, raised all their salaries by like 10%, and raised teachers got a raise of, I think it was 6% about a year ago, and then they were scheduled to get an additional 4% this year, and so now that's in question as to whether that newest raise is going to get trimmed back from an additional 4%, get all the way back to a 2% raise when everybody else is out of work. So there's a little controversy there. They don't want you to hear the discussion.
A lot of these teachers, I don't know how it is for every school area, but a lot of these teachers are working less now that the whole COVID thing's going on. They just don't have as much work to do. They're meeting with students individually every few weeks or something. Depends on the district.
In New Mexico, I heard the stats today. The public school students in New Mexico they were attempting to replace the real in-person school with some online stuff. The average amount of online stuff that each student in New Mexico is getting presently was 30 minutes a day.
Wow. Well, I will say it as a homeschooler that you don't need nearly the amount of time. Like, school is a babysitting service. And, much of what they do there, I don't know what they do there. I remember being at it, and you'd think that they were learning, but my son, we're learning just like they are, and the time frame that he's doing it in is much slower.
Thank you, David, for your call tonight. James in Arizona, watching on YouTube. You're on Free Talk Live.
Wow, that was a really boring call, wasn't it, Minister Edge?
What were you calling about, James?
I asked him a question.
What, do you think I owe you
Just
something?
say yes. Just say yes. For once, tell the truth in your godforsaken life. And I should love. Notice you don't ever talk about cell 411 anymore, just as you've been victims of police violence about a grand total of 0. Just as, Minister Edge, more people were murdered on Flight 77 than cops in the United States have murdered in the last year.
Boy, he's rambling tonight. Thanks for the call tonight, James. Actually, we have talked about Cell 411 recently because it's actually been down on the Google Play Store for the last 6 months. And I finally got in touch with Virgil, longtime listener and supporter here on Free Talk Live, who also happens to be the creator of Cell 411. And he's been going through some personal issues. Don't want to get into what that is, but he's had a tough last several months, and he's back in touch with me now. And he says that apparently what happened was it's something related to Google's terms of service, which is the reason for removal. Apparently, Google didn't like it that children were downloading Cell 411. I have no idea why, and it makes no sense. We have to exclude children apparently from the target audience in order to get Cell 411 back on the Google Play Store. So it's been down because Google took it down because children were downloading Cell 411, and that's bad apparently according to Google.
It's odd.
So that's the latest on what's going on. It's been on the Apple Store the whole time, so it's still available through iPhone.
Apple doesn't care about your children.
Users and such. So I'm looking forward to announcing it once Cell 411 gets, because it's still operational. Like if you had the app already on your phone, it still works. It's just
Can't you go to getcell411.com and download it?
No, that was the problem. Was they just linked to the Google App Store version
that is a problem.
there,
Yes.
so they didn't have an individually downloadable file from that site. I would hope that they will change that in the future in case of future Google takedowns of the app.
It's a great project, and
it is.
If for whatever reason it got enough sort of momentum behind it, it would be very, very useful. It doesn't matter whether you don't have to hate cops or firefighters or anything like that to use it. It's just an emergency, among other things, an emergency response app.
And it works pretty well. In fact, Virgil did tell me he still sees requests, alerts being sent out regularly through Cell 411 to people all across, presumably, the world. And maybe we'll get to talk to Virgil about that coming up in a couple weeks. He told me he may be coming to ForkFest, which is on the way. We are, 2 weeks away now or something like that?
It's really getting close.
From ForkFest, maybe even less than that.
The new start of ForkFest, because the start of ForkFest listed at forkfest.party is still
the 29th.
The 1 week festival as opposed to the now longer 2 week festival.
The extended version starts on the 22nd, and that's when I'm going to be going up there at Rogers Campground. Beautiful place to go and hang out with freedom-loving people. ForkFest is the decentralized libertarian camping festival. It's going to be its 4th year, and this year it will happen in tandem with the Porcupine Freedom Festival in the first week, and then the second week will be all ForkFest right up until the weekend when it is Independence Day weekend. So the final night of ForkFest is the 4th of July, which is pretty cool.
With fireworks.
With fireworks, at least that's what's being planned. That's what they do there at Rogers Campground every year on that weekend. I've never been to the Rogers Campground's fireworks before because the Porcupine Freedom Festival never coincided with that particular weekend. But because ForkFest is doing that this year, it's going to be I think it's going to be an interesting time. We'll see how many people come out to it. It's definitely not too late for you to register your campsite. There are no tickets to ForkFest. There's no central organization. There's no bureaucracy. There's no organizers. You got to organize yourself. What do you want to do? You just want to go and hang out with other like-minded, liberty-minded folks? Cool, you can do that. Or maybe you want to put something on for those people to attend. Maybe you want to put on some sort of speaker series or a concert or a play. I don't know, whatever it is you think people will enjoy, whatever you want to do. Put together a poker night, various board game night, or a party. I don't know. It's up to you. It's ForkFest. Go to forkfest.party. You can learn more about the event there. There's a Telegram chat room in which you can interact with other attendees. And I guess we'll have to hold off on this Antifa demands list from the Chaz, because they do have a 19-point list of demands.
19.
And maybe we'll get into that another day, but I'll bookmark it. We'll see you online. In the meantime, you can join us over at freetalklive.com.
Remember when you first heard about Bitcoin? How long did it take you to realize this little project would soon change the world? Do you kind of wish you had got involved sooner? Well, now is your chance to be a part of the next revolution in money. Intercoin is working to finally make crypto go mainstream. It's designed to be scalable enough to support everyday payments and even elections without the state. Bitcoin was originally supposed to be a peer-to-peer cash system, the way we would all pay one another without having to trust any third party. But instead, over time, it mostly became a store of value. That's because every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network must put all transactions into a block, and that block can only hold so much. If crypto is to become mainstream for people to use it for everyday payments, we need a new architecture, one that is as secure as Bitcoin while being far more scalable. Check out intercoin.org to find out more and maybe pick up some of those coins for yourself.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock is next after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with the SNLS Network and listeners like you. Online at snlsnetwork.com. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,738, silver at $18.34, and Bitcoin is trading around $9,874. Today's gold, silver, and Bitcoin prices are brought to you by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with